This is Atomic Shinobi, and today I'm going to narrate second part of What If Naruto traveled back in time and saved Minato. If you enjoy this video, please like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Now wasting no more time, let's start the story.
Young Kunoichi are currently having lunch together in a restaurant. Everybody in the group focuses on one of the Kunoichi while they wait for the orders to be delivered. Anko laughs and responds, "You can't be serious. Kushina. Sama actually talked you into dating her kid." "This isn't funny, Anko. I'm 14 years older than him." "But you didn't have any other complaints, Kurenai." Shizune responds, "At least that's what Tsunade Sama told me. Unless she was drunk at the time, again." "No, she was right. I couldn't come up with any other arguments." Rin tries to sound serious despite the laughter as she asks, "Well, what seems to be the problem? Sounds like he's the dream man for you to me, age notwithstanding." "The age difference is a big problem on its own. If he's as good as you say, what's a few years?" Yugo responds, "Don't look now, but here comes your dream man." The group follows Yugo's gaze and turns to face the entrance, where they see Naruto entering and giving the waiter a list. Kurenai tries to hide from Naruto by sliding down her chair, but her hopes are shattered when Anko begins to wave Naruto over. Kurenai hisses, "Anko, what are you doing?" Kurenai.ne. What are you doing on the floor?" "She's waiting for you to sit down so she can sit on your lap, lover boy." Anko. "Stop fooling around, Anko. Sensei." Rin asks, "So what are you doing here, Naruto?" "Dad is at his office and mom left for the shopping district with Tsunade. Chan to get things for the baby while Gaara is out training somewhere, so the girls sent me out to get takeout for them." "For all the girls? That's going to take a while," Shizune responds. "Come on, don't just stand around. Take a seat." "Yeah, and if you're worried that Kurenai will crush your legs, you can sit on her lap instead." Kurenai yells, "Anko, stop that, and I'm not that heavy." "Stop what? You admitted yourself that he's nice to cuddle with." Naruto says, "Anko." "Sensei." Kurenai.ne. Chan said stop it, and advances a chair from a different table. "Ah, you always ruin my fun, Naruto. That's because your fun always give other people trouble. That's why you're working in the interrogation department to begin with," Yugo replies. "And your fetish with the sword is the reason you're trying to get into Anbu, Yugo," responds Anko. "I suppose we all have our favorites. Shizune and Rin has their medical ninjutsu and I have my genjutsu." "But what about Naruto-kun over here?" replied Rin. "He's working on genjutsu with you and ninjutsu with Kakashi. He even learned Anko Chan's Habi no Mai. I'm thinking of working on my taijutsu with Guy too, but I'm having my doubts." Kurenai yells, "Don't you dare," and strikes Naruto in the head. "Don't worry, Kurenai. Kushina. Sama won't let Guy corrupt your boy toy." "I believe Kurenai.ne. Chan told you to stop it several times already, Anko, sensei." "You actually understood what I meant. I'm young, not naive," says Naruto, and Kurenai.ne. "Chan, I'm going to need something better than the Academy Taijutsu. Habi no Mai is good, but it depends on the element of surprise and the ability to shift from into other forms of taijutsu. It doesn't work anywhere near as well if I don't have anything to change to." "A few of months of training and he already knows the weakness of Habi no Mai," Anko says with a sigh. "It lasted almost an entire year, Anko. Sensei." Anko looks back at the partition wall and says, "Oh well, what's a few months? All right, come on out you two." Everyone's gaze shifts to the wall of the partition, where two small children timidly appear. Naruto lets out a sigh and motions for the two kids to bring their own chairs. The two girls choose to take one leg each and sit on Naruto's lap rather than doing as he says. "Hanabi. Chan, Kyoko. Chan, how many times did I tell you two not to do that?" Hanabi remark, "But this is comfy, Naruto.ne, Chan. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about following me around." As Kyoko puts it, "But this mean lady is the one that caught us." "What did you call me, you little brat?" "See, Anko, even little kids who don't know you can tell that you're mean," Yugo continues. "If you don't change your ways, you'll never find yourself a man." "Meh, then I won't even bother," Anko responds. "Changing myself just to make someone else comfortable is only going to make me miserable anyway. Where's the joy in that?" "I guess you're right, Anko. If I'd figured that out sooner, I would never have gotten together with Asuma. You know how much I hate cigarettes." Kurenai.ne. "Chan, don't worry, Naruto. I've gotten over it," says Kurenai. "Asuma and I haven't been together that long." "But you were completely drunk at the bar. That was just to get rid of all the frustration." Anko tugs at Naruto's sleeve and signals him to stop before he can say anything more. Realizing, Naruto plays with Hanabi and Kyoko's long hair, which he knows the girls detest, and nods his head subtly to divert Kurenai's attention. As Kyoko swats at Naruto's hand, she complains, "You're going to mess up my hairstyle, Naruto. Chan." "Yeah, you're going to get all kinds of knots in it," comments Hanabi, imitating Kyoko's pose. "I know Hanabi is Hinata, Chan's little sister, but who's the other brat?" asks Anko. "I'm not a brat. My name is Uchiha Kyoko. Hey, she's a little fan that I picked up when I fought Sasuke. Teme during the school spar Anko, sensei." As Kyoko continues to sit on Naruto's leg, which she ends up looking more like she's writhing over, she exclaims, "It was amazing. Poom. Pow. Sasuke. Sama didn't even stand a chance. Ah, I wish I could see it, but Chi-Chi. Yui didn't take me to the academy," Hanabi responds. "It's best you didn't, or else Yugito. Chan, Hinata. Chan, and I would never have learned Habi no Mai as quickly as we did." Hanabi asks, "Why is that Naruto.ni, Chan? If you had seen it, you wouldn't have given up on it that quickly. And if you keep nagging Anko Sensei about it, she wouldn't have nearly as much time as she did to teach us. Naruto.ni, Chan is a big meanie. So does that mean I can have Naruto.ni, Chan all to myself?" "No way!" exclaims Hanabi, clutching Naruto's arm. "Of course not, kid. Either one of you would have to share with Kurenai," Anko replies. Naruto questions why the two girls aren't complaining about whiplashes as they turn their heads sharply in Kurenai's direction. Kurenai can't decide whether to feel embarrassed or angry as Hanabi glares at her chest and Kyoko glares at her butt. "All right, stop glaring you two," Naruto says, preventing Kurenai from concluding that, "My mom made her do it, so it's not Kurenai.ne, Chan's fault." With a pout and crossed arms, Hanabi exclaims, "But you're not complaining." "She has a point there, Naruto," laughed Anko. "You have no idea know how much I complained when mom first brought it up," says Naruto. "I just stopped because mom already had her mind set on it." Like Hanabi, Kyoko exclaims, "You should still complain." Yugo remarks, "They sure are persistent, aren't they? They still haven't given up on trying to catch me off guard yet," says Naruto. "We would have done it today if the mean lady didn't catch us," says Kyoko. Naruto claims that he saw the two of you hiding in the first tree to the left of the yard entrance as soon as he left his house. "Mo, for once, could you please make us feel better?" Hanabi says. "You two are much too young for him to make you feel good," Anko chuckles. "Mean lady, what do you mean?" Naruto glares at Anko and says, "Don't worry about it, Kyoko. Chan. It's just adult talk. You'll understand when you get older. Don't ask your parents, then." "Why not?" Hanabi queries. "'Cause you'll get the mean lady and I in trouble." "Oh, when I'm not allowed to sleep in their room, do Chi-Chi, Yui and Haha. Yui say something similar to each other?" Kyoko inquires. "Well, I wouldn't know since I didn't hear those. Would you like me to share their words with you?" "No, they're so naive it's cute," Anko remarks. Kyoko. "Chan, those are private conversations that you shouldn't tell anyone about," Naruto responds. "Okay. Here are your orders, Naruto." Sama, a waiter says, carrying two big food bags. "Oh, thank you." Hanabi and Kyoko tell Naruto, "We'll help you, Naruto.ni, Chan," as they leap from Naruto's lap and both take a bag. With "I suppose we should go now," Naruto stands up. After removing the bags from the struggling kid's hands, Kuriani remarks, "Those two are nowhere near strong enough to carry those," adding, "I guess I should be heading home too." "But your food isn't even here yet," Shizune remarks. "Well, now that I think about it, I suppose there are advantages to being Hokage. Sama's son. Naruto.kun has already completed his orders." "Yes, I am aware. No way these three kids can carry this much food," Kurenai says, "so I'll just tell them to change my order to take out. I'm having trouble with the weight, too." Naruto says, "Let me carry them, Kurenai.ne, Chan, forming 2 kg bunchin. Are you certain? I'm capable of managing it. By now, I'm accustomed to it." When Kurenai notices that the two clones are handling the heavy bags with such ease, Kurenai looks at Naruto inquisitively. Naruto then removes his jacket and flips it inside out, exposing tiny metal weights scattered inside. "I might not be training with Guy, but I am using weights to help improve my strength and speed." "Is Naruto.ni, Chan visible to me?" Kyoko inquires. "Well, just don't try to lift it," Naruto advises. "The weights might look small, but together they weigh even more than you do. When you battled Sasuke, Sama Naruto.ni, Chan, Did you wear this? No, I didn't begin until I began studying Habi no Mai in order to increase my speed. You were already plenty fast against the Uchiha kid before that, says Anko. Yes, but I just felt that I needed to get even faster and stronger, Naruto responds. I want to be able to move so fast that even the Sharingan and the Byakugan would have trouble following me in a fight. Well, you can't escape ours, Kyoko says. Yes. Kurenai places a hand on each of the two girls' shoulders and says, if anyone can do it, it's the two of you. Are you really that beautiful, lady? Hanabi queries. Anything is possible if you put in the necessary effort. Can you then pledge to put in a lot of effort? I promise, say Kyoko and Hanabi. As Kurenai.ne. Chan going straight back to sensei mode. Oh, Naruto, keep quiet. You will be scolded by the girls for taking so long. Don't be concerned. Once they see Kyoko, Chan and Hanabi, Chan with me, they'll get it. Those two really like to cause trouble, don't they? Anko says. Yes. Since these two attempted to ambush me on our way home from the academy, Yugito, Chan and Gaara have witnessed them in action numerous times. If they're as good at causing mayhem as you claim, Naruto, I might be interested in teaching them a few tricks, Anko continues. Of course, this one is going to have to get an attitude adjustment first. Trying Anko. Sensei will make their parents very upset with you. You don't want them upset with you, I can tell you that. Anko smirks and says, ah, you really care about me. Anko extends her hand to try to trace Naruto's jaw with her finger, but she quickly retracts when Hanabi strikes her wrist. Hanabi and Kyoko cross their arms, stand in front of Naruto, and glare at the Tokubetsu Junin. Are they not feisty? These two are becoming more and more appealing to me. Anko, don't touch them. Kurenai smiles and says, I can't have you corrupting the youths of Konoha, especially when you're acting like this. Ah, Kurenai. Chan, no complaining Anko. Fine, Hinata. Chan is still quite eager to learn anyway. When Hinata's name is mentioned, Hanabi twitches a little, and Kurenai puts her hand on Hanabi's shoulder to divert the girl's attention before she commits to training with Anko just because Hinata is doing so. Kurenai didn't mind Anko training Hinata because, based on what she knew about the Hyuga heiress, she needs the confidence boost, but if Hanabi grows more confident about her skills, she will become almost arrogant. To Kurenai, it's a good thing that Naruto is there to knock the girl down a few pegs whenever she feels brave enough to stalk a ninja.in. Training, an already ninja. Quality trainee, before she is even in the academy. What took you so long, Naruto.kun? As soon as the group enters, Yugito asks, you didn't encounter any difficulties, did you? No, Yugito. Chan. I just met some adorable girls who want to play their game once more. Hanabi. Chan, Kyoko. Chan, you two will never be able to catch Naruto. Sama off guard until you get much stronger, Ginkgo says with a sigh. Yes, we're able to. Anyway, when did they begin stalking you? Kurenai inquires. Well, it all began when Hanabi. Chan made the decision to follow her sister in order to learn everything Hinata. Chan knew. During Hinata Chan's visit, she coincidentally met Kyoko Chan, who was surveilling me from the shadows. I suppose Hanabi Chan simply joined Kyoko Chan after deciding that she could learn more by following me rather than her sister. Naruto.kun, there is no denying that you are stronger than me. I suppose that Hanabi Chan's desire to learn from you is a good thing. Hinata Chan, when did you do that? You two just missed each other, Naruto.kun, says Yugito. Hinata Chan came over about 5 minutes after you left. Hinata Chan, I didn't really mean to. With a resolute sparkle in her eyes, Hinata says, it's okay, Naruto.kun. I'll keep getting stronger until I can compete with you. Alright. Hinata Chan, I'm counting on it. Hinata Chan, exercise caution. Tenten remarks, Naruto.kun takes promises very seriously. Everyone in the living room is suddenly drawn to a loud rumbling noise, and Kurenai, her battle instincts taking over, squats down and reaches into her weapons pouch. She looks around the room and finds everyone staring at her strangely, and as she is about to signal the children to take cover, she sees Hanabi and Kyoko laughing to her left. You must not have seen Naruto.kun when he's hungry, Kurenai.san, Tamari says with a smirk, or heard for that matter. Excuse me? Hanabi remark, that's just Naruto.ni, Chan's tummy. Was Naruto's stomach there? We're all probably hungry. Since Naruto returned with our lunch, we have only talked, Koyuki remarks. Alright, let's eat, as Kurenai takes her food out of one of the bags and holds it above her head before it is trampled underfoot. Yugito begins searching through the bags for her portion before the others can react. Naruto leads them to the kitchen to let the girls choose their lunch, remembering that he never bought anything for himself or the two youngest girls and that Hinata most likely hasn't eaten yet. Is Naruto capable of cooking? Kurenai. Sensei, what do you mean by that? In between bites, Yugito asks. Naruto just went to the kitchen with Hinata, Hanabi, and Kyoko. Ah, they are so lucky, Naruto. Sama's cooking is the best, Ginko responds. Really, I had no idea he could cook. There are a lot more things you don't know about Naruto. Sama, Kurenai. Sensei, Ginko continues, if you want, you can spend some time with the rest of us and we can tell you all about it. Yes. In this manner, Kurenai. Sensei, we can get to know one another better, especially since we'll be sharing Naruto.kun and everything. But Yugito, Kurenai.san, are you still unsure? But why? Tenten asks. Is it a result of your age difference with him? I'm 5 years older than him myself, Koyuki inquires. I don't think it has any issues. However, I'm 14 years his senior. In 6 years, when he is old enough to get married, you will only be 20.1. By then, I will be 30, still nearly twice his age. Are you more concerned with how other people perceive you or with how you would perceive yourself? Tamari inquires. I believe you know what to do if you are afraid that you cannot accept it yourself, but I can only ask you why if you are only concerned with what other people think of you. I am aware that some people will claim that I am with Naruto.kun in order to avoid becoming a political prisoner, but I don't give a damn about them, Yugito states. The only thing that matters is that I know I like Naruto.kun. I don't know how I really feel myself. Then perhaps now is a good time to find the answer, Kurenai.san. I guess you're right, Koyuki. Haim. We all think of you as one of us until you say otherwise, so just call me Koyuki, please. The Chunin looks at Ginko and Yugito and says, then please just call me Kurenai, except when we're training of course. Speaking of which, Kurenai. Sensei, when will we resume our training? Ginko queries. Yakumo ought to be well by now. We'll resume in 2 days, I suppose. All right. With 4 bowls of instant ramen on a platter, Naruto remarks, I'm getting bored around here. Even when we're all here. Please don't give me that look, Yugito, Chan. Naruto, what do you have there? Kurenai inquires. Oh, these? Kyoko, Chan and Hanabi. Chan are adamant about having some of my ramen for lunch. The 2 girls remark, we never get to have anything like that at home. I assume that one of the bowls is for you. The final one is for Hinata, then? It's all right, Kurenai.san. Hinata responds, I don't really mind. They look so yummy. As Yugito notices Kurenai's shocked expression, she remarks, Ginko, you're drooling. Ginko has essentially developed a ramen addiction since Naruto.kun fixed her a bowl of ramen for a midnight snack. Don't worry, Ginko, this bowl is yours. However, how are you, Naruto? Sama. Mine is still in the kitchen. Naruto.ni. Chan still has a whole pot of ramen in the kitchen. Kurenai says, I should have known that one bowl wouldn't be enough to satisfy your hunger, with a sigh. After returning to Yakumo's mansion to continue their genjutsu training, Naruto, Yugito, Gaara, Ginko, and Kurenai discover the Kurama heiress sitting in the living room, reading scrolls prepared by other members of her clan about their own ninja training. Yakumo, are you studying hard? Kurenai. Sensei. Glancing up from her scrolls, Yakumo exclaims, everyone is here. What's surprising you so much? Kurenai says, I thought I sent someone to let you know that our training starts up again today. Although a number of scrolls were delivered by someone yesterday, I haven't had time to read them yet. One of those scrolls must contain your message, I suppose. So, should we return tomorrow? Yugito queries. No, it's all right. I've been anticipating this for several days. I apologize, Yakumo. I spent the last few days taking care of some personal issues. Kurenai. Sensei, is everything all right? Yakumo inquires. Yes, it has been resolved. Well, I guess we ought to begin. As a refresher after the extended break, the group spends the entire morning going over what they have already experienced. During lunch, Ginko and Yugito lead Yakumo aside and spend the remaining hour simply chatting and laughing with one another. Those girls look so carefree, says Kurenai, sometimes I wish I can act like them. They are technically just children, although they are just 1 year away from graduating from becoming full-fledged ninjas. Naruto, you are beginning to frighten me. What is causing this unexpected outburst of maturity? And you are just the same age as them yourself, Kuriani teases. The situation is unfair, Kurenai.ne. Chan. If I wanted to, I could be mature. In incredibly rare instances, as you have done for me over the past few days. All I've done is get you in trouble. I've been thinking, I don't think I would mind too much. Well, Kurenai. Chan, what are you trying to say? Kurenai smirks and says, well, I'm not exactly seeing anyone now. Since you put it that way, Naruto remarks, observing Kurenai's sly expression. Nah, Naruto. The girls make fun of me whenever they can. By now, I'm essentially accustomed to it. Kurenai. Chan, I'm unbeatable in that department. It would have been nice to know that beforehand. You started at Kurenai. Chan. After saying, I guess I deserved that one, Kurenai turns to face the girls and says, okay, the break is over. Let's begin. Throughout the entire afternoon session, Naruto keeps stealing glances towards Yakumo. The girl appears a little more distant than usual, but Naruto doesn't comment on it. Even her smile seems a little strange to him when the group leaves for home after training is over, but he simply puts it down to the fact that he is still nervous about the Idu monster, just as he still feels strong hostility toward the entire Uchiha clan because of Sasuke. Kurenai also keeps stealing glances toward Naruto during training. To her, Naruto appears to struggle during the afternoon session, even more than usual, and the boy appears to be anxious about something, but she is unable to pinpoint it. When the group gets to Yakumo's mansion the following day to start training, they discover the heiress sitting in the courtyard, gazing at a canvas while other paintings are all over the floor. Naruto's eyes widen, so he puts out his arms to keep the others from approaching the heiress and goes up to her alone. Ya, Yakumo. Chan. Ah, Naruto. Sama, you're here. Naruto's eyes enlarge once more as he peers around Yakumo, and as the ground opens up and he falls into the pit of fire below, he spins around and screams for the others to leave. Ginkgo and Yugito attempt to run up to save Naruto, but Kurenai pulls the girls back. Soon after, Naruto reappears in the center of the courtyard, looking slightly battered but otherwise in good health, and even Yakumo is shocked that Naruto doesn't appear to be even slightly burned. Naruto grunts and gets to his feet, glaring at Yakumo. Monster Idu. I am aware that you are in the body of Yakumo. Chan, come on out here and let me ruin you. How come you're still alive? Yakumo yells, but her voice sounds entirely different. What's happening? Yugito yells. Ginkgo, Gaara, and Yugito. You three must go to the Kurama compound and seek assistance. Kurenai remarks, it appears that Yakumo's body has been taken over by the Idu monster. No, we remain and fight. Gaara, avoid being obstinate, proceed. Ginkgo responds, I'm sorry, but we can handle ourselves. We can't do that, Kurenai. Sensei. Kurenai. Sensei, please get reinforcements for us. I can't abandon you children. Here, I am the Genjutsu expert. I must remain and fight. You all remain behind. Naruto claims that only he is capable of handling the Idu monster's Genjutsu. Yakumo knocks the canvas over and reaches for another one that is already on the ground as the group screams at each other. Naruto spins around just in time to see a burst of fire approaching him, and before the fire can reach him, a dome of sand rises up around him, protecting him from the fire. By the time the fire goes out, the sand dome has changed to a glass dome. As the group wonders if Naruto survived that kind of heat, the ground shifts beneath her feet, and she sinks into the ground, falling victim to Naruto's Shinju Zanshu no Jutsu. Suddenly, even with her head above ground, her entire body trembles as something forces itself out of her mouth before assuming the form of the Idu monster. Is that the monster from Idu? It looks awful. Neko. Chan looks much prettier, yells Yugito. I apologize, Naruto. Sama. Yakumo says, I couldn't control my body, as Naruto lifts her off the ground. I just completed what you requested. Nobody else, especially not her, can have Naruto if you can't. That is what your mind wanted. That is what I tried to do for you, the Idu monster declares, gesturing to Kurenai. She doesn't necessarily want it finished just because she thought it, Yugito says. No, I must complete my task, the Idu monster declares, because a human's deepest desires are always concealed in the deepest recesses of that person's mind. The rest of the group tries to rush inside, but a group of ninjas pulls them back as a dark dome descends upon the courtyard, hiding Yakumo, Naruto, and the Idu monster from everyone's view. You are the father of Yakumo, Chan, Yugito says. Yes, Ginkgo.san arrived at our compound and told us what is happening here. Ginkgo? However, she remained by our side the entire time. I sent a clone after you insisted to remain here, Kurenai, sensei. You stopped us, but why? Yakumo. Shan and Naruto. Are in there with the Edo monster, Yugito inquires. I am only trying to prevent you from running to your death. The Kurama clan head picks up a rock from the ground and throws it at the dome, only to have it burn as soon as it hits it. Yugito and Ginko are even more eager to enter and assist Naruto after witnessing the outcome. Unkai, maybe you should give an explanation, the head of the Kurama clan remarks. The only way to avoid the power of the Edo monster's genjutsu is to lose consciousness, Unkai states. The Edo monster's genjutsu is so strong that the injuries perceived by the mind actually manifest on the physical body. The Edo monster's first genjutsu caught Naruto looking battered, Kurenai explains. But if the person loses consciousness, then the mind cannot perceive any injuries since the person loses all 5 senses, Kurenai says. He used his cage bunshin to knock himself out. Kurenai. Sensei. Gaara says, please throw the 3 of us into the dome and knock us out cold. Gaara. Kurenai can't even react before Ginko leaps into the air and hits Yugito and Gaara in the head, knocking the 2 former Jinchuriki unconscious. Ginko turns around, nods to Kurenai, and shuts her eyes. Kurenai sighs and hits Ginko on the back of the neck. Unkai and 2 other members of the Kurama clan pick up the 3 children and toss them into the dome. Are you certain they can manage this altercation? Those 4 children are much stronger than anyone can imagine. Kurama-san, according to Kurenai, if anyone can help Yakumo, it's those 4. Back inside the dome, the 3 kids hit the ground hard, waking them from their sleep. On the other side of the dome, Yakumo is sitting on the ground, tending to a deep cut on her left calf, while Naruto is frantically hopping around to avoid the enigmatic hands that are attempting to capture him. Gaara uses his sand to trap and crush about half of the hands, but more keep popping up out of nowhere. We need to find the actual body of the Edo monster, Yugito states. Let's rejoin Naruto first, Gaara responds. He knows what has happened since this dome appeared. The 3 of them run along the side of the dome to meet up with Naruto and Yakumo, using Gaara's sand as a shield. Once there, Yugito, Gaara, and Naruto stand watch while Ginko tends to Yakumo's wound. He's hiding in one of the canvas, but I don't know which one, says Naruto. Should all the paintings be destroyed? Gaara queries. No, at least we can guess where he is when the paintings are still around. So, how else can we eliminate the monster? Yugito yells. I'll assist, Yakumo. Chan, this issue was my fault. I'd like to assist in solving it. Permit me to assist Naruto. Sama, please. Are you able to identify Yakumo? Chan, the Edo monster? The monster believes it is a part of you, Naruto says. Thus, it ought to be concealed in a painting that features you. If it's hiding there in the paintings, that one. As the group follows Yakumo's finger, they notice a painting floating in midair, a full body portrait of Yakumo, but it's obscured by the numerous paintings that are moving around in the dome. All those other paintings could prove to be a problem. Well, all they describe is our terrible demise. Gaara, nothing that we haven't already dealt with? Sarcasm won't help us here, Naruto. Sama, stated Ginko. I'll go. But Yakumo. Chan, that monster was my creation. I won't be harmed by the Edo monster. Naruto hands Yakumo a kunai and says, I'll divert it, the 3 of you protect Yakumo. Chan, we're counting on you to kill the monster for us, Yakumo. Chan. Closing his eyes to concentrate, waves of chakra start permeating from Naruto's body, so much so that even the adults outside can feel the chakra. Using his favorite technique, hundreds of cage bunshin appear and rush toward the paintings, hiding Ginko, Gaara, Yugito, and Yakumo amongst them. Left and right, the clones are destroyed, either by the paintings as their fates mirror those depicted in the picture, or by the mysterious hands floating in the air drilling through their body. Their ranks dwindle down to nothing by the time the group is about 3/4 of the way to the target. Using his sand as a shield, Gaara tries to protect the group the rest of the way but is soon rendered unconscious. However, he did accomplish his task of guiding the 3 girls past the canvas formation. Suddenly, 2 arms reach out and grab Yugito and Ginko by the neck before lifting them up into the air. Clutching onto the kunai, Yakumo jumps into the air just as the Edo monster's head appears from the painting. While the monster is focused on the 2 girls struggling for breath and the 2 boys struggling to recover, one from chakra exhaustion and the other from the effect of its genjutsu, it completely missed the kunai, crashing down on the back of its skull from behind, driven by the full weight of its originator. As soon as the weapon finds its mark, the 2 arms went slack and drop Ginko and Yugito before the entire body of the Edo monster falls out of the canvas. The dark dome slowly disappears as the Edo monster dies, and the adults rush in as soon as the barrier is low enough for them to jump over. And they see Yakumo sitting on the ground, taking deep breaths while her fingers are still tightly wrapped around the handle of the kunai. While Ginkgo and Yugito are coughing hard and rubbing away the pain around their necks a few feet away, and Naruto staggers over toward Gaara to check on the Kage's son, who suffered minor burns on his shins and forearms before he passed out, shielding him from more injuries. Kurenai approaches the Kurama heiress, crouching and placing her hand on the girl's shoulder. "I'm sorry Kurenai, sensei, for what purpose? This all happened because I got jealous of you, after Ginkgo. Chan and Yugito. Chan told me what happened between you and Naruto, Sama." "It's okay Yakumo. Chan," Kurenai reassures the heiress as she puts her arms around her. I am not worthy of being with Naruto, Sama. I nearly killed them all." Kurenai explains, "I know that they don't mind at all. They knew the Edo monster was inside you the whole time. Actually, it was they who persuaded me to assist you. Are you okay, Yakumo? Chan?" Yakumo looks up and sees Yugito and Ginkgo smiling down at her and offering to help her get back up. Naruto is behind them, slapping Gaara across the face to wake him up, and Yakumo accepts the offer while laughing at Naruto's antics. The Kurama clan members rush up to check on the heiress, and after confirming that everyone is okay, Kurenai cancels training for the day so the kids can assist Yakumo in returning to her compound, as the reason she moved to the mansion is finally destroyed. By the time the kids return for their last year at the academy, they are already more than capable of handling genjutsu. Even Naruto, the worst student in the group, can detect and dispel the basic and intermediate level illusions. As they enter the classroom, Naruto notices a surprise sitting in the corner of the room. Hyuga Neji, the rookie of the year from the previous year, is sitting there, glaring at everyone who dares to look at him. Not to be intimidated, Naruto approaches and takes a seat directly in front of Neji, forcing Gaara and Yugito to join him in that row, along with Ginkgo, who has chosen to remain with Naruto this year. "What are you doing here, Neji?" Naruto inquires. "My incompetent former teammates caused us to fail the Genin qualification test." "Oh. When I escorted Hinata, Chan and Hanabi, Chan back to the Hyuga compound a few months ago, that's why you were so upset," Naruto remarks, surveying the room. "I didn't know Tenten Chan failed the test." "Naruto.kun didn't do that. Remember how thrilled she was to show us her Hitayate," Yugito says. "What about Lee, then? Lee Naruto, what about him?" Gaara inquires, perplexed by his friend's response. "Don't Tenten Chan, Lee, and Neji belong to the same team under Guy Sensei?" "Naruto.kun, what gave you the idea?" Yugito inquires. "Tsunade. Sama's apprentices, Tenten Chan and Tamari Chan, are training alongside Lee, who is obviously training as an apprentice under Guy Sensei. Remember, none of them are assigned to any squads?" "Oh yeah, now that you mention it, I completely forgot about it. How are you feeling, Naruto.kun?" Hinata sits down beside Neji and asks. "Yes. I'm okay." Sasuke soon enters the room, followed by a large group of fangirls. But unlike in the past, some of the girls see the always stoic Neji sitting in the corner and leave to gawk at the Hyuga instead. In his heart, Neji is relieved that Naruto, Gaara, Yugito, and Hinata took all the seats around him, if only to keep the fangirls away from him. The other four aren't quite as happy, though, given the noise and glares around them. The chaos ends when the instructors enter the room and the lesson starts, and shortly after that Iruka is shaking with rage as two students have fallen asleep during the Konoha history class once again. Iruka grabs two pieces of chalk and shoots them at Naruto and Shikamaru, while the one aimed at Nara hits the mark, but Naruto catches the piece of chalk without even looking up, having long since mastered the art of catching projectiles while wearing blindfolded from training with Tenten. "Stop playing around and listen," from the front of the room, Iruka yells. At the end of the class, the two Hyugas and the three Hanias decide to stay in the classroom to enjoy the quiet, while Naruto is boasting to Hinata and Neji about his genjutsu training. The two Hyugas turn their attention to the front of the room, but as soon as Iruka looks away, their minds are already elsewhere. Naruto is confused, and he turns around, nearly falling out of his seat when someone grabs hold of his shirt collar. "Naruto." Ino growls, "What specifically were you discussing with my father during the summer?" "Wah. Hold on, Ino. Chan, I can explain." Hinata and Neji look on in confusion as Ino continues to growl incoherently in anger, while Yugito turns to the door, her shoulders shaking as she tries to contain her giggles, while Gaara looks to his two companions for support and just stares out the window. "Look Ino. Chan, I was trying to learn the Shintention," Naruto responds. "But that would mean that," Ino roars like a savage, and Hinata gasps out of her chair. It was to assist one of my friends. I never got around to learning it anyway. In an attempt to defend himself, Naruto claims that her problem has already been fixed. I don't need to learn it anymore, you see. You'd better make sure it remains that way, Ino says, for your own benefit. Ah, Ino-chan, there's no need to be so harsh on Naruto-kun. Yugito concludes. He can be a perfect gentleman if he wants to. I have nothing to do with that. I'd rather not even have to deal with it, Ino huffs and crosses her arms. Sasuke approaches Naruto's desk and says, "Get out of the way, Yamanaka. I challenge you to a spar namikaze. Or are you going to chicken out again?" Sasuke, give it up. Since I've already humiliated you twice, I don't want to do it again. What did you say? You're not even worthy of being in the same breath as Naruto, Uchiha, Neji responds. Hyuga, know your place. Even the main house does not include you. You have no right to talk to me like that. All right. Before Neji or Hinata can reply, Naruto declares, "You want to fight, you got one. Let's take it outside." But Naruto-kun, Yugito-chan, don't worry. I am aware of my actions. Ino numbly follows the group to the courtyard, shocked not only by Sasuke's attitude and the power that Neji and Hinata exuded from what Sasuke said about Neji, but also by Naruto's power. While Hinata and Neji are preoccupied with their anger and Sasuke ignores their reaction, Ino feels the full force of Naruto's power when Sasuke dismisses Neji based solely on his membership in the Hyuga clan. Additionally, the fact that the power didn't even faze Yugito or Gaara indicates that such a display is commonplace among those three. A crowd gathers in the courtyard as soon as they hear that Naruto and Sasuke are fighting again. Even the first-year students, who never saw the first two fights, are amongst the crowd when they hear that the heir of the Uchiha would be fighting the heir of the Namikaze. Iruka tried desperately to get in between the two youngsters and stop the fight before it even begins, but one look at Naruto and Iruka wisely backs away before he's caught in the crossfire. Looking toward the side, Iruka notices Naruto's two companions standing in the front row, their eyes showing just exactly how concerned they are about Naruto. Even Iruka is unsure about the Hokage's son himself. There seems to be a dark aura around Naruto, almost as though the boy is not himself but something sinister has taken over. His eyes are cold, distant, and emotionless, like that of seasoned veterans. Being a trained ninja himself, Iruka can tell that the Anbu stationed around the courtyard, all of whom no doubt had intentions of stopping the fight, noticed the shift in Naruto's behaviors as well. But none the children, outside of Gaara and Yugito, even know of the dangers they are in by standing so close to the fight. Oblivious of everything around him, Sasuke shows off a smirk, not even realizing the situation he is in or Naruto's change in behavior. He had been training hard over the vacation and even his over-demanding father had given him a look of approval at his improvement even if Sasuke still hasn't managed to activate his Sharingan. In his mind, he has improved so much that there is no way Naruto can beat him. But as soon as he gets into his stance and gestures to Naruto to come at him, the Namikaze simply vanishes from his spot. A split second later, before Sasuke can even begin to look around for him, Naruto has already rammed his shoulder into Sasuke's back. Stumbling, Sasuke spins around in anger only to have Naruto disappear again. Looking around, Sasuke can barely leap back before Naruto's heel slams into the ground where Sasuke once stood, creating a small crater with the impact. It is then, when Naruto looks up toward him amongst the flying debris, that Sasuke finally notices the dark glare from Naruto, and fear takes over Sasuke's mind again, much like the last time when Naruto was inches away from ending his life with that kunai. Desperate, Sasuke uses his most powerful ninjutsu, the Gukakyu no Jutsu, to try and keep Naruto away from him. However, the fireball simply shields Naruto from Sasuke's sight and when the fireball dissipates, Naruto has disappeared again. Scanning the training ground in pure terror, Sasuke misses the slight shift on the ground he's standing on and Naruto burst out from the ground, delivering an uppercut that drives Sasuke into the air. Leaping after the prone body, Naruto delivers a series of aerial combos before finally driving Sasuke back to the ground with a heel to his chest. The first technique that Sasuke created with his Sharingan in his past life, the Shishi Renden, is used by Naruto to defeat him in front of everyone in the courtyard once again. Walking up toward Sasuke, Naruto glares down toward the Uchiha with a look of pure disdain and Iruka finally moves in and holds Naruto back, telling him that the fight is over. "I warned you last time, and I always deliver on my promises," Naruto says in a tone that makes Iruka shudder, "Don't ever insult my friends again." The crowd simply disperses as Naruto makes his way back toward the academy, and no one, not even Gaara or Yugito, dares to speak to him. When Iruka eventually gets his bearings, He sends the kids back to the classroom and signals the Anbu to take Sasuke to the hospital and inform the Hokage of what happened. But Ino surprises everyone by moving to the seat next to Hinata, and even Sakura, her fiercest rival, looks back at Ino with curiosity and concern every time the teacher turns his back. Throughout the remainder of the day, waves of hatred and malice sweep through the class as Naruto stays in his seat, silently glaring at the Uchiha's chair, despite the fact that the occupant is at the hospital and will be there overnight for observation. Since Sasuke was the one who challenged Naruto to the spar, Fugaku is powerless to stop his son from being beaten, but that doesn't mean he's happy about it. In fact, Makoto's messages through Kyoko are getting more and more sinister, so Minato, as the Hokage, has tightened security around key locations in Konoha and, with the assistance of the Hyuga, whose compound is located close to the Uchiha compound, has kept a careful watchful eye on everything that occurs in the area. Since his release from the hospital, Sasuke has stopped speaking to Naruto and his small group, preferring to brood in his seat at the front of the room. As surprising as it might be, instead of putting fear in her heart like it did for everyone else, Sasuke's beating actually sparked curiosity in Ino, who has been keeping an eye on Naruto ever since the spar. 2 days after the beating, when Sasuke returned to class after being released by the hospital, Naruto had already returned to his happy-go-lucky self, all traces of his anger completely disappearing like it never even existed. Ino noted that Gaara, Yugito and to a certain extent, Hinata and Neji, all seemed to treat such a drastic shift in attitude as though it's common occurrence. What intrigued Ino even more is that outside of the 3 fights between Naruto and Sasuke, the heir of the Namikaze, though no doubt powerful, had never shown any signs of having powers strong enough to be able to toy with one of the better students in their year, at least to the extent in which Naruto had done to Sasuke. Add all that to his almost 1-year disappearance with Gaara and Yugito before entering the academy as a second-year student only serves to build the mystique around the blonde, and Ino is bound and determined to wade through the air of mystery surrounding Naruto and get to know the actual Namikaze Naruto. Besides those who switched their interest to Hyuga Neji on the first day, Ino is the only one who has left Sasuke's side, even though his attitude only reached new lows after his latest defeat at the hands of Naruto. Instead, Ino spends every class staring at the back of Naruto's head from her seat next to Hinata, as the group of 5 kept to their seating arrangements, if only to shield Neji and Naruto from trouble. Curious as she was, Ino never approached Naruto outside the academy, although sometimes she did follow the 2 children who took a liking to stalking Naruto, at least until they reached the central area of the village, where the Yamanaka flower shop is located. Then Ino would return home and leave the children to their own devices. The mysteries surrounding Naruto only grow as Ino spends more time observing the Namikaze. Every time Ino feels that she has seen something akin to a clue about Naruto's behavior, something else would come up to shatter the image. After weeks of following Naruto around, Ino is still no closer to knowing the real Naruto. "Is there a problem, princess?" Inoichi asks, observing Ino gazing out her room's window. "Oh, Dad. It's nothing. It doesn't sound insignificant. Ino, what's upsetting you?" "It's Naruto," informs Ino. "I've been observing him for weeks during class. There was never any indication that he was anything other than an above-average student. Why is Naruto suddenly attracting attention? I assumed you were only looking at Sasuke." "Daddy. That's not the reason. It's just that he's already defeated Sasuke 3 times, Ino yells, flushed. Despite his apparent lack of effort, he consistently ends up defeating Sasuke in the battle. What gives him his strength? Naruto is a very special child, Ino. Yes, I am aware. I highly doubt he had that kind of power, Ino says, because everyone said that his mere presence sent the Kyuubi into hiding after it had devastated the village. And you're probably right about that, Ino, but that's not the reason he's special, Inoichi continues, if not for the fact that Hokage Sama wants Naruto to mingle with children around his age more often. Naruto would probably be a ninja already. That's exactly it, Dad. He has been nothing more than a class clown who irritates every teacher. The fact that he's been nothing but a prankster and still manages to be an above-average student should tell you something, Ino. You mean that Sasuke was the only one who made him go all out when he had been holding back the entire time? I doubt he had been going all out even against Sasuke, Inoichi continues. After all, he's been training with too many people to have someone like Sasuke, though talent in his own right, to force Naruto to use his full strength. How powerful is Naruto? No one is aware. Even Gaara and Yugito spend the entire day with Naruto, so I doubt they are aware of his full strength, Inoichi says. But if I had to guess, while Gaara and Yugito can likely compete against the majority of the village's genin, I'd bet that Naruto would be a good match against some of the weaker chunin. How much training did they have to do to reach that level of strength? Very difficult. Kakashi and Kurenai have told me about some of their training. It's definitely not what I would have anticipated from academy pupils. Do you believe I can withstand the kind of training they give me? Well, about that, please tell me the truth, Daddy. To be honest, I don't think many kids your age can manage it. Perhaps some exceptionally gifted people, like Neji and Sasuke, can, but you'll probably still need to increase your stamina significantly to withstand the rigorous training. I wish to strengthen myself. Ino says, can you ask them if I can train with them? I want to be the best kunoichi I can be. Ino, I know this might sound harsh, but I need to know this before I can ask them. Go ahead, Daddy. What's causing the sudden interest? You have never before demonstrated this level of commitment or desire. You're correct, Dad. For that one brief moment just before Naruto fought against Sasuke, he released a huge wave of power, Ino explains. I really haven't been paying that much attention to my training before. Despite the fact that everyone is terrified of Naruto as a result, Yugito stood directly beside him without even flinching. It demonstrated her strength to dismiss it in such a manner and my weakness in allowing that power to frighten me. Ino, you're maturing before my very eyes. All right, Inoichi says, I'll ask Hokage Sama tomorrow, but it's up to those three whether or not they want to train with you. Thank you, Daddy. This is how Ino's training with Naruto, Yugito, and Gaara begins, which presents Ino with yet another surprise. Apart from occasional visits from people like Anko, Kakashi, Kurenai, and Jiraiya, the three kids largely train alone without adult supervision, but that doesn't seem to deter them from giving it their all. On the first day back home from training, Ino just trudged upstairs to her room, slouched onto her bed, and fell asleep upon contact, her dinner still on the table downstairs. Her parents were initially worried that Ino wouldn't be able to survive the training, but Ino insisted on going, so they never brought up the subject again. At the academy, everything stays the same. Sasuke doesn't seek out trouble, and Naruto doesn't intentionally cause it. However, a few months into her new training, Ino observes that Naruto is becoming increasingly irritable, and that anyone who makes even the slightest mistake during training could receive a tongue lashing from Naruto. What has been bothering him these past few weeks? Ino huffs while taking a break. Yugito begins by saying, well, it's probably Naruto-kun. Suddenly, from the edge of the training field, there is a scream. The messenger arrives at the group a few seconds later and stoops to try to catch her breath, but Naruto's head snaps up as he looks for the source of the scream. Which Tenten Chan is it? Yugito queries. Tenten says, Ku, Kushina, Sama, birth, baby, home, in between breaths. Naruto left the training ground before anyone else could even figure out what Tenten was trying to say, and a few seconds later, Yugito and Gaara finally put the pieces together and ran off after Naruto, leaving behind a tired Tenten and a perplexed Ino. What's happening? After Tenten has recovered, Ino inquires. Kushina. Sama has gone into labor and Okawa-san sent me out here to bring Naruto-kun back home. Really? What about Hokage Sama, though? Shall we not also tell him? Shizune-ne-san already went to get Hokage Sama, Tenten responds. I should probably head back. Do you believe I can accompany you? I don't know, I don't mean to be rude or anything, but it doesn't really have anything to do with you, Tenten responds. But then again, Hanabi, Shan and Kyoko Shan are probably going to be there too, so I guess it's all right. When they return, they discover that everyone in the house, aside from Tsunade, Shizune, and Kushina, is standing around the room with a small group of ninjas who are closely related to the family, too nervous to even sit down. Hinata, Hanabi, and Kyoko are also present, along with the elder Hyuga, who seems to have some medical knowledge, and two children who are just curious, like Ino. It appears that Shiori, the mother of Hinata and Hanabi, is also up in the room with Kushina, acting as the midwife, while Tsunade and Shizune are merely precautionary measures in case something goes wrong. Naruto, please calm down. Everything will be fine, Ino says, approaching Naruto. The way you're pacing around, people might think your wife is giving birth. Tsunade. Sama, the world's best medic, is upstairs helping Kushina, Sama. On the other side of the living room, the adults currently in the house are trying to do the same thing for the Hokage that Ino is trying on Naruto. However, neither side seems to be able to accomplish the task. Frustrated, Ino simply grabs Naruto and drags him over to the couch. Forcing him to sit down, Ino can't help but notice that Naruto is still grabbing onto her hand, a bit too tightly for her comfort for that matter. This is the first time in her whole life to see Naruto so vulnerable, so complete and absolutely helpless, that the slightest bit of human contact is the only thing keeping him from snapping, and Naruto is desperately holding onto that lifeline. Sitting down next to him, Ino hesitantly rubs Naruto's shoulder with her free hand, trying to ease his nervousness. While all that is going on, no one, perhaps not even Naruto himself, notices the small exchange between Ino and Naruto. All are completely focused on the staircase, waiting for any news from upstairs. Considering the time it took for Tenten to reach the training ground and for Tenten to rest up enough before traveling back with Ino, perhaps the concern is not completely unfounded. Not able to take it anymore, Minato is about to charge upstairs to be by his wife's side when a loud wail rings through the house. Soon afterward, a tired but smiling Shiori emerges from the staircase to give the good news and gestures for Minato and Naruto to follow her upstairs. Kushina-chan, how are you? As soon as he walks into the room, Minato asks. Look at her, Minato-kun. She looks stunning, doesn't she? Kushina's voice is hoarse. As Naruto approaches Kushina's bedside, Minato becomes confused and begins to look around. Tsunade is caring for something wrapped in a white blanket in the corner of the makeshift maternity ward, and as Minato approaches, she glances over Tsunade's shoulder and notices the newborn baby, her tiny arms and legs moving around. Yes, she is Kushina-chan. Yes, she is. There you are, Minato. Tsunade responds, she's a perfectly healthy baby girl. At first, there was a small issue. We had to turn her around because she wanted to come out feet first, Shiori explains, but everything worked out fine and Kushina-sama and the baby are just fine. Naruto remark, it must have hurt a lot. Oh, you were much more troublesome to me than your younger sister, Naruto. You didn't want to come out at all, but she wanted to do so first. So, has my younger sister been given a name yet? Your mother and I decided that if the baby's a girl then we'd name her Akemi. Bright and beautiful, that's quite a bit of expectation you have for the girl Minato. Tsunade responds, but it does sound like a wonderful name. Naruto approaches and says, come on Akemi-chan, saying, say your brother's name. Na.ru.to.ni. Hurry up. Minato places his hand on Naruto's shoulder and says, why don't we have her learn Chi-Chi and Haha first, Naruto? I'll leave it to the three of you to sort that all out, Tsunade says. Both Kushina and the baby check out fine, albeit a little exhausted. Now I'll let the four of you be alone. Nothing can take away Naruto's smile after his baby sister is born, and he even chose to ignore Sasuke's sarcastic comments. But as the school year draws to a close, Naruto's emotional roller coaster reaches yet another low point. What is causing him such anxiety? After an especially taxing training session, Ino grumbles, he of all people should be calm about the test. Although I'm not sure why Naruto-kun is so upset, Hinata responds, but I doubt it's because of the final exam. According to Yugito, Gaara and I have long since given up on figuring Naruto-kun out, but I'm still a little concerned. When Naruto-kun is angry, it usually indicates that a negative event is about to occur. Now, what are you ladies chatting about? Eek. It's just girl talk, Naruto-kun, Yugito says, don't come up on us like that. There is nothing to worry about. It's getting late, why don't we just call it a day and head home, Naruto responds. Oh, isn't the sun already going down? I will never be able to get enough sleep for tomorrow's test? Ino-chan, please calm down. You'll do fine on the test given all of your preparation, Yugito says, adding, to be honest, I'd be disappointed if you didn't pass. Correct, Naruto-kun? I don't think any of us would have any problem passing the exam, Yugito-chan. When Naruto, Yugito, and Gaara return to the Namikaze compound, they see Iruka just leaving the building, seemingly having just given a report to the Hokage because Minato is staying home to watch over Kushina and Akemi, desperate not to miss any of the girls' firsts. After saying a brief hello to the instructor, the three trainees head in and are called into Minato's office, where they find one of the few adults in the house waiting for them. Kurenai. Sensei, what's the matter? Yugito queries. I don't truly know who I am. After Iruka left, Hokage-sama just called me in. I've been receiving some excellent feedback on this year's class, Minato explains. Iruka was just reporting on who he expects to graduate from this year's academy class so I can start picking the teams. Everyone appears to have a very high chance of passing. So why are we in this place? Naruto inquires. Kurenai just became a Junin recently, and the three of you have been clamoring to be put on a team together, so I've decided to make Kurenai you three's Junin instructor, assuming all three of you pass of course. Oh, no issue. Naruto explains, the test is simple. What will they ask us to do? Henge? Bunshin? Those are really simple? Yes, that is what I expected you to say. I already have a mission for you because of this. Hokage. Sama already? Kurenai states, we're not even an official team yet. That way, your team can get a nice C-rank mission completion on your report the moment the team becomes official, says Minato. If you do a good job on that, I have a few more missions here lined up for your team. If any of those are D-rank missions, you can just throw them out, says Naruto. I believe I understand my son's character. If I put you on a D-rank mission, I will never be at peace again. Observing the anxious Junin, Naruto reassures him, don't worry Kurenai. Sensei. I'm sure we can handle whatever mission my dad has in store for us. You're correct. Taking a deep breath, Kurenai says, I should have faith in our team. But what is this mission exactly? We have received information that someone is targeting some of the village's secret scrolls, Minato says as Naruto becomes frantic. I want you to find out who is after those scrolls and capture that person. After learning everything there is to know about the mission, the group returns to the living room and talks about the missions among themselves. The following day, as Iruka had anticipated, the entire class passed the graduation exam, with Naruto, Yugito, and Gaara setting the high marks for the class. As soon as they leave the academy, Naruto goes straight home and drags Kurenai down to the Hokage Tower and lies in wait for whoever might have his or her sight on the scrolls. Yugito is growing increasingly agitated because nothing is happening, but soon after, the three children hear a shuffling outside, which is completely inaudible to normal humans. The perpetrator enters the room with a slight opening of the door, and as he reaches for the scroll, Kurenai puts him under a genjutsu. Naruto remarks, Uchiha Sasuke, why am I not surprised, while scowling at the squirming figure on the ground. I didn't think he would be bold enough to try this, Kurenai says. Do you think there's a bigger conspiracy going on? I have an inkling of who might be responsible, Naruto responds, let's go. Naruto forms a small group of Kage Bunshin and sends one of them off to warn the Hokage while the others keep a close watch on the Uchiha. Naruto leaves the tower and immediately makes his way into the forests, forcing the rest of his squad to follow him. Eventually, he stops in a clearing with a small cottage and turns into Sasuke while indicating that the rest of the team should hide. Once back in the village, all of the veteran ninjas are awake and about after hearing from the Hokage that one of the secret scrolls has been stolen. Fantastic effort, Sasuke. It appears that you passed the test in the end. Naruto poses as Sasuke and asks, so where is my reward Mizuki? Sensei, the reward that you promised. You will undoubtedly win Rookie of the Year from me. Please give me the scroll now. Obviously not, Naruto screams as he cancels the henge, get him. The cornered Mizuki is further surprised when Gaara, Yugito, and Kurenai leap out of their hiding place, and before he even realizes what has happened, he is already dying from the wounds from the attacks of Naruto, Gaara, and Yugito. Just as he had done to Sasuke, Naruto leaves a small group of Kage Bunshin to watch over the injured Mizuki and speeds off into the forest, forcing his team to pursue him once more. Naruto stops in front of a cave near the Nara compound and waits for his team to catch up to him, accompanied by Shikaku Nara, who had been compelled to leave his house to investigate the disturbance. I don't recall there being a cave here before, Shikaku responds, but then again, this place is too big for me to keep track of by myself. Shikaku is able to identify some of the ingredients in the large stock of medical supplies and potion ingredients that the group finds inside, but he is unable to identify a large number of items. The group decides to gather everything and bring it all back to Tsunade for examination, and after thanking Shikaku for his assistance, they return to the Hokage Tower with everything they have taken from the cave. Ah, Naruto, it seems that you've completed yet another mission in record time, says Minato. Where are Mizuki and Sasuke now? Naruto looks around the room and asks. I haven't seen Mizuki yet, but we received a statement from Sasuke, and as a punishment, he will be given D-rank missions for 6 months, Minato states. I assumed you would take him back with you. But my clones handed him off to 2 Anbu, Naruto continues. Mizuki should have been brought here long before we got back. Anbu, huh. I know where Mizuki could be. In the morning, I'll take care of him, Minato says, but for now, let's go home. Even though they already know their team, the group goes to the academy the following day for a team assignment merely to confirm the arrangement and see how the other teams are doing. Naruto begins looking around the room to see how the students are responding as the teachers list off the teams. After a while, Iruka begins reading the names Naruto is more accustomed to. Team 7 consists of Uchiha Sasuke, Haruno Sakura, and Inuzuka Kiba. Kiba murmurs, great, I got the Uchiha and the Banshee, while Sakura shouts triumph in the distance. Be quiet Kiba. You too Sakura. Team 8 consists of Hyuga Neji, Aburame Shino, and Hyuga Hinata. It seems that the heavens finally smile upon me, Neji remarks, with Shino-san and Hinata. Sama on my team, I should have no problem becoming a full fledged genin this year. After saying, Team 9 consists of Namikaze Naruto, Ni Yugito, and Sabaku Gaara. Iruka pauses for a moment to hear any feedback before adding, Team 10 consists of Nara Shikamaru, Yamanaka Ino, and Akamichi Choji. Why am I not surprised that I'm stuck on a team with Shikamaru and Choji? Iruka explains, anyway, those are the team assignments for this year's graduating class. You may head out for lunch but be sure to return in an hour to meet your Junin instructor, just before the classroom collapses as the fresh group of genins leaves. Naruto just reclines in his chair and shuts his eyes, waiting for everyone to leave the room. Yugito smirks and sits on Naruto's lap, nearly snagging Ginko's muzzle in the process. Yugito puts her arms around Naruto and rests her head on the boy's shoulder, ignoring the grumblings of both Naruto and Ginko. When Yugito is being playful, Gaara just pulls out his box lunch and eats in the corner, glad he's not the girl's target. After hearing Naruto's stomach rumble and smelling the food from Gaara's lunch, Yugito pulls out her own lunchbox and begins feeding Naruto, subtly suggesting that Naruto do the same. By the time Kurenai arrives in the classroom, some 15 minutes after everyone else has left, the three genins are in such a state. Seems you guys are having fun, says Kurenai, though I was really expecting that the three of you would be outside with the others. Yugito says, Ahaya Kurenai, sensei, as he miraculously maintains perfect balance on Naruto's lap and waves toward the Junin. Naruto looks at Kurenai and says, well, since we don't need to do the second genin test to prove we are worthy of becoming ninjas, at least I don't think we need to. Kuriani smiles and responds, no, I've already passed this team as an official genin squad. I figured we would just wait for you to show up and head to the Hokage Tower to see what mission Dad has for us. Kurenai, sensei. Yes, Hokage. Sama did say that he has other missions for us after we completed the Mizuki mission. Exactly. So let's head over to his office now. I was hoping that we would have lunch together before reporting for missions, says Kurenai, but I guess the three of you already ate. If we are heading to Ichiraku, then I can handle a lot more, says Naruto. Me too, exclaims Yugito. I suppose I can handle more food as well, admits Gaara. Yay. Ramen. Kurenai looks around the room, startled by the fourth voice. To ensure that the kitsune doesn't utter another word, Naruto reaches down and puts his hand around Ginko's muzzle. Kurenai dismisses the voice as a figment of her imagination and turns back to her students to see Naruto's hand still clamped on Ginko's muzzle, despite the fox's vain attempts to remove it with her front paws. When Naruto sees the Junin staring at him bewildered, he quickly lets go, but Ginko retaliates by biting him hard on the calf. As a result, Naruto almost pushes Yugito away from him as he hops around screaming in agony. As all of this is going on, Kurenai can't take her eyes off the fox, which is acting very human by rubbing her snout with its front paws. Naruto, what are you hiding? Mirroring Ginko's action on his own wound, Naruto sits down and asks, what do you mean Kurenai? Sensei. This fox was the source of the fourth voice, wasn't she? Kurenai responds, Ginko isn't just a normal fox, is she? A few people was wondering how the Inuzuka can manage to tame Ginko in 1 week when some of their own dogs are still just as rebellious as untrained mutts in the streets. I don't know what you're talking about, Kurenai, sensei. I can tell when you're lying, Naruto, Kurenai snarls at the new genin. I guess we should tell her Naruto.kun, Yugito responds, after all, if she's going to be helping out on missions. Naruto responds, you're right, go ahead, Ginko-chan. After checking to make sure no one else is nearby, Ginko raises her muzzle and gets to her feet, reverting to her human shape. Kurenai can only look at the girl in disbelief as she watches the transformation. You are that girl. Ginko, of course, why didn't I make the connection before? You couldn't have, Naruto responds, there is no way you could have known that Ginko-chan is a kitsune. Hokage. Sama, Kushina. Sama, Naruto. Sama, Yugito. Chan and Gaara.san are the only ones who knows my identity, Kurenai, sensei. Kurenai asks, then the girl living with us, she is just a clone. I let her take the human form when I'm here at the academy with Naruto. Sama, then I switch with the clone when we get home. A kitsune? How did you ever manage to get tangled up with a kitsune, Naruto? Asks Kurenai. Well, let's just say that Dad and I crossed path with Ginko-chan's father before. You're not talking about the Kyuubi, are you? Wow. Kurenai. Sensei is really smart. Yugito-chan, hisses Naruto. You really are the Kyuubi's daughter? Ginko murmurs, hi Kurenai. Sensei, concerned about the Junin's response. This is going to be an interesting 5-man squad, says Kurenai. Why do you all look so shocked? I trained Ginkgo myself and lived with her for nearly a year already. Don't you think I know if she's trustworthy or not by now? When Ginkgo asks, you're not angry or scared of me. I don't blame the children for what the parent did. I don't think anyone will ever be able to forget or forgive what the Kyuubi did to this village, but you're not to blame for what he did. Thank you for being so understanding, Kurenai. Sensei, Naruto responds. Then maybe the 4 of you will be just as considerate of my wallet when we get to Ichiraku. Ginkgo apologizes and says, sorry Kurenai. Sensei. No promises there. Well, it was worth a shot. Let's put up the money we got from the Mizuki mission to cover the tab, then we can split the rest amongst ourselves, if there's any left, Naruto responds. The others nod in agreement as Yugito yells, yeah. Like an official celebration for the formation of Squad 9. When the group returns to the Namikaze mansion after lunch, they find all of the new Junin instructors gathered in the study to share their initial thoughts about their new charges. Minato merely motions for Team 9 to remain when they turn to depart. Asuma tries to approach Kurenai during this quiet exchange, but Kurenai simply directs the 3 new genins to the other side of the room upon spotting her ex-boyfriend. Naruto notes the behavior of his new sensei, commits it to memory, and chooses to discuss it with Kurenai at a later time. Naruto closes his eyes and listens to the evaluations, which typically range from having no chance of becoming a genin to having some chance of success. He leans against the office wall. Asuma is the instructor of Team 10, Genma is the instructor of Team 8, and Kakashi is the instructor of Team 7, Naruto learns during the report. Naruto reluctantly admits, looking back at his previous life, that Team 7 has improved as a unit during this lifetime because they now have a member who can locate possible adversaries in Kiba. Despite the fact that Neji is unquestionably a far superior shinobi compared to Kiba and that Genma is probably a more formidable fighter than Kurenai, Team 8 as a whole has become much weaker because they specialize in tracking and now have Genma as an instructor rather than a genjutsu expert like Kurenai who can cover for the team. Since 3 of the squad's 4 members are close-range fighters and the final member is best suited for medium to long-range combat and backup fire while the other members are fighting, Team 8 in this era actually looks more like the former Team Guy than Team 8. Asuma tries to approach Kurenai once more after the briefing, but the Kunoichi just ignores him and goes to the Hokage's desk to wait to talk to the village chief. Asuma lowers his head and grabs his pack of cigarettes as he leaves the room. Did you know that he stopped smoking ever since you left? Minato responds. Good. Then maybe he would actually live a long life. Kurenai. Sensei, it's all right Naruto. I just want to make it perfectly clear to him that it's over between us. He made his choice, I made mine, says Kurenai. Regardless, I believe we are here for our mission. That's what you were clamoring about all during lunch, right Naruto? Naruto nods his head in agreement and decides to remain silent after opening his mouth. Naruto looks at his father and waits for Minato to end the awkward silence, even if it's just to give him a mission. Minato gives Kurenai a C-ranked mission scroll after taking it out of his drawer. Tori no Kuni has recently lost its daimyo Lord Oiwashi. We have reason to believe that foul play might be involved, Minato stated. Lord Sagi and Lady Toki of Tori no Kuni have sent a messenger to us requesting our assistance in investigating this issue, and, if needed, eliminate those responsible. Tori no Kuni, looks like we're taking a trip out of Hai no Kuni again, Naruto announces. It's going to be a long trip, why don't you guys go back and pack? I still need to talk to Dad about something. Yugito seems to be about to speak, but she is stopped before she can say anything by a small tug from Kurenai and Ginkgo. Naruto turns to face his father after the others have left the room. There should be a mission from Nami no Kuni coming in soon, says Naruto. I don't care how, I want that mission. Don't assign it to anyone else no matter what happens. Another thing from your past. The first person who truly understood the pain and suffering I felt. I won't let anything happen to her this time around, says Naruto, and I have a score to settle with someone from there. Fine. I'll keep that mission around for you, thanks Dad. Now don't you have a mission you should be preparing for? Right. Off I go then. Team 9 departs for Tori no Kuni after assembling all the supplies they will need for the mission. On their way out of the village, they avoided their classmates, who would have undoubtedly questioned them about the rank of their first mission and grumbled about being given preferential treatment. Once they reach Tori no Kuni, Ginkgo returns to her human form as soon as they are out of Konoha's patrol range to avoid any possible interrogation. As soon as the group reaches the gate of the capital after the lengthy journey, they are escorted to the daimyo's palace. Ah, so you are the squad that Konoha sent to assist in investigating our father's death. Hi daimyo. Dono, responding Kurenai. Normally this would be an internal affair that would be handled by my own people. However, my sister and I are both adamant in the belief that our father's death was not of natural causes as the examiners said. We would be willing to assist the investigation in any way necessary, Naruto responds, but may I ask why you have doubts about the examiner's report? Given that our father was the daimyo of Tori no Kuni, the examiners did not and could not perform a thorough investigation in order to preserve the body. The only thing they can conclude is that there were no visible sign of any assassination attempts, Sagi states. There is also the fact that there are competing factions within our country that have caused quite a bit of disturbance ever since my father's death, Toki continues. We not only have doubt about the validity of the examiner's report, we even have suspicion that they might be working for one of those factions and they are responsible for my father's death. It is also because of this that we ask you to perform this task in secret as to not alert those factions. To the outsiders, your task here is merely to serve as bodyguards due to the troubles in the capitals lately, Sagi states. Hokage. Sama's reputation even reached a small country like ours. We believe that the ninjas he assigns for such a mission such as this are just as righteous as he is, and that you can help us expose this treacherous plot. As I've said, we shall be willing to assist in any way necessary. That is what my father expects of us. You are Hokage. Sama's son? That is correct, Daimyo. Dono. Sagi gets up and approaches Naruto. Sagi kneels in front of Naruto and bows after holding his hand and helping him stand. Naruto instantly returns the gesture, startled. I leave this important matter in your hands then, Sagi responds, please do your best. Toki stands up and says, let me show you to your resting quarters. We can't possibly ask you to perform such a task for us, princess, says Kurenai, that's too much for lowly ninjas like us. Nonsense. This mission is of the utmost importance in our hearts. I expect that you will encounter quite a bit of trouble in order to accomplish this task, Toki responds, compared to what you will face, simply showing you to your quarters is of no consequence. To repay the trust you have in us, we will not let you down, Naruto declares, bowing to Sagi and Toki. With a, thank you Namikaze-san, Toki opens a side door and says, please follow me. Toki leads the group through a tangle of hallways before coming to a stop in front of two doors. One on the right is for men, and the one on the left is for women. Naruto says, Toki. Haim. Sama, please wait a moment, before Toki turns to go. Is something the matter Namikaze-san? The factions that you and Daimyo Dono mentioned, can you tell us more about them? Of course. I suppose it would be important for the mission, Toki replies. Walking into the bedroom, there are basically two opposing factions in the imperial court in Tori no Kuni. One is of father's chief strategist Kome, while the other is of the high monk Muso. Kome is opposed to my brother taking the title of daimyo, claiming that he is too young to rule, while Muso supported my brother and is the reason that he has the title right now. Even amongst the population of the capital, there are groups that support both sides and have been causing quite a bit of disturbance. Kome and Muso, as expected, claim that they have nothing to do with those groups. Do you suspect either one to be involved in your father's death, Toki? Haim? Asks Kurenai. My brother believes in Muso like my father. He insisted that Kome caused our father's death, then attempted to use my brother's youth to claim power for himself. Yugito asks, but you don't feel the same way? I do not trust Kome myself either, but I also do not trust Muso, Toki continues. On the outside, he appears to be a harmless monk, but I can't exactly explain it. I just feel uneasy in his presence. Would there be anyone else who might want to harm your father? Asks Gaara. They would be from outside Tori no Kuni then, but Tori no Kuni has been struggling economically for a couple of generations already. We don't really possess anything that would be appealing to other countries. So Kome and Muso are our prime suspects if you and your brother's suspicion proves correct. If one of them is indeed involved in my father's death, I beg you to assist my brother in exposing the ill deed and exterminate the threat to my brother's throne. Please don't worry, Toki. Haim. Dono. That is why we are here, says Kurenai. My brother and I are arranging for you to visit father's tomb in secret to ascertain the cause of death, Toki continues. Until then, you are welcome to stay here. I suppose we can do a bit of snooping around until then, says Naruto. Maybe we can calm things down a bit in the streets. We are supposed to be bodyguards after all. That would be much appreciated, Namikaze-san. We shall not keep you from your other duties any longer, Kurenai states with a bow. Thank you for all the information you have provided us. It is no problem at all. I hope it would prove useful. Naruto looks at Yugito as soon as Toki exits the room, and the genin excuses herself by saying she has to use the restroom. Sagi and Toki are now more well. known than they were before Naruto's team arrived at Tori no Kuni. To emphasize that they are in the nation to act as bodyguards, Naruto and Gaara are always by Sagi's side when he leaves the palace, and the same is true for Toki and the squad's female members. Naruto's group has also largely driven the troublemakers off the streets after stopping them the first few times. Both sides captured individuals, when questioned, consistently stated that they were roused to take to the streets by a stranger who had agitated the crowd at a bar. Toki is sent to notify the ninjas that they can proceed to the royal cemetery once Sagi decides that everything is in order. Although Naruto's group will appear to be their bodyguards while they honor their ancestors, it is actually an opportunity for them to start their investigation seriously. Toki gets the shock of her life when she walks into the girl's room. Toki yells, "What? What is the meaning of this?" and gestures to the sleeping figures of Ginkgo and Yugito cuddling up to Naruto. Toki. "Hime. Sama, please do not be alarmed," says Kurenai. "Those three children have known each other since they were young and have gotten used to sleeping together after all these years." But, do you require us to accompany you outside the palace?" "No, well yes. My brother and I wish to travel to the royal cemetery and we believe that it would be a good opportunity for your team to perform your investigation." Kurenai.san. "When should we head out? We do not want anyone to interfere, so we should leave as soon as possible so as to not give them time to react," says Toki. "Very well, I shall awaken them. Is it safe for them to sleep through the entire conversation like that? I wouldn't be surprised if Naruto is already up, but as a squad we always have someone stand guard in shifts while others rest," says Kurenai. I believe Gaara have the early morning shift in this case. If you are up Naruto.san, then please alert Gaara.san of our plans." "No problem Toki. Hime. Sama. I'll go back to my room as soon as I can get these two off of me." Yugito murmurs, 5 more minutes." Naruto tries to rouse the girls by saying, "Come on, time to get up. Mission time." Toki says, "I will let my brother know you are getting ready then," refusing to stay and observe. In Kurenai's words, "Thank you Toki. Hime. Sama." When the group is at last prepared, they join Sagi and Toki in the throne room before making their way to the royal cemetery. A small black cat continued to follow Yugito on their journey, but it stayed hidden and only the 4 children saw it. As soon as they got there, Naruto quickly assembled a group of Kage Bunshin to guard the area and ensure they wouldn't be disturbed. As the head of the royal family and the daimyo, Sagi opens the stone gate and ascends the stairs to the mausoleum. In order to protect him, the group wanted to go up the stairs with him, but they gave in after realizing the ceremonial significance. Upon opening the gate, Sagi turns around and gives the ninjas a nod, signaling them to enter. To lift the heavy stone slab that seals the coffin, Naruto creates a few more Kage Bunshin once inside. The fact that the body is still in perfect condition suggests that the individuals in charge of its preparation did a fantastic job. He looks at Sagi and Toki for approval before drawing a silver senbon from the pouch of his weapon. The princess and the daimyo nod their heads without thinking. Naruto inserts the senbon into the former daimyo's torso, waits a few seconds, and then extracts it once more, revealing its blackened tip. Naruto frowns and gives Kurenai the senbon. The Junin looks at it for a few seconds and then nods her head in agreement with the tool's conclusion. Sagi and Toki, who are not ninjas, are perplexed by the entire exchange because it is so quiet. The Kage Bunshin seals the coffin once more and then dispels it by placing the slab of stone on top of it with a wave of his hand. "I understand you, Miss Owashi. Sama, daimyo. Dono, but it's going to be a long trip back. Perhaps we should head back to the palace now," Naruto responds. Without uttering another word, Naruto exits the mausoleum and scans the area as if seeking out possible adversaries before turning around and giving the all clear. Before the Junin murmurs that someone is spying on the group outside, Sagi frowns and turns to face Kurenai in bewilderment. Toki gasps and uncontrollably moves in her brother's direction. Maintaining the pretense of only serving as the royal family's bodyguards, the group forms up, encircles the daimyo and the princess, and escorts them out of the mausoleum. Once they are back in the safety of the palace, Sagi asks, "So what exactly did you find from father's body?" Namikaze.san. "It would appear that Owashi Sama was poisoned, and that it was ingested," says Naruto. "The senbon I used pierced into Owashi Sama's stomach, and the tip turned black after coming into contact with the poison." "Why did you think the poison was ingested?" Sagi inquires. "Only the tip of the senbon turned black. If the poison entered the bloodstream, the blackened portion would have been much longer." "Can you tell what kind of poison it was?" Toki inquires. "Unfortunately, we don't have a medic on our squad that can identify the poison," says Naruto. "However, the people spying on us were not normal guards. Their stealth ability leads me to believe that they were ninjas. I suppose I can try testing the poison against antidotes of common poison used by other ninjas, but I only have a small bit of it here on the Senbon. Toki murmurs, why would foreign ninjas be interested in Tori no Kuni? Toki. Haim. Sama told us that the two factions' leaders are Kome and Muso. Naruto responds, can you tell us a little bit more about their past? Kome has been my father's trusted advisor for as long as I know, Sagi asserts, and Muso was a traveling monk that showed amazing magical powers and was made the head monk by my father. I don't really see. Amazing. Magical powers? My father once told me that he swallowed an entire katana whole and came out perfectly fine. Looking at Kurenai, Naruto asks, Genjutsu? It's possible. Which if true would mean that the ninjas spying on us are under his command as well. You suspect Muso is responsible for our father's death? Toki inquires. It's all just a theory for now. We still need more concrete evidence, Naruto states. Foxes are too noticeable. Yugito. Chan. Gaara. Do you think your summons can spy on Muso for us? For that matter, let's cover all our bases and spy on Kome too. When Yugito says, I suppose that will have to do for now. While we gather evidence, we will have to be extra careful not to tip anyone off about why we are here, says Naruto, so if you need to travel anywhere outside the palace daimyo. Dono, Toki. Haim. Dono, please have at least one of us accompany you. I understand. We can't afford to jeopardize the mission now that we are so much closer to exposing my father's killer, Sagi responds. It's getting late, perhaps we should all retire for the night and continue this discussion at a later time? Before turning to face the group, Sagi says, you're right, Toki. Please let us know as soon as you have any evidence that either proves or absolves Muso of the crime. Naruto says, of course daimyo. Dono, as Sagi and Toki exit the conference room. When they return to their own room, Kurenai asks, you kids have summon contracts. Why haven't you kids told me about that? It's kind of complicated. I suppose your fox summoning contract is from Ginkgo's father then Naruto? That's right Kurenai. Sensei, and what about you two's contract? I have the cat summoning contract while Gaara has the Tanuki summoning contract. Cat, Tanuki, Nekomata and Shukaku. But I thought they're sealed. It's an S-class secret Kurenai. Sensei, so you can't tell anyone, Naruto asserts. Otou.san and Ginkgo's father helped in releasing them. But wouldn't the process? Ginkgo's father knew of a way to do that without harming Yugito and Gaara, says Naruto. You know the three people that visit Otou.san every now and then? Kitsune, Neko, and Tanuki? Wait, don't tell me that they are, Kurenai murmurs. Of course, Kitsune is Ginkgo's father after all. I hope you're not scared of us because of that Kurenai. Sensei, Yugito responds, we're sorry for keeping it from you. Scared of you? Of course not. I'm just surprised how well they can blend into a ninja village, Kurenai responds, but if he acted so human-like and even dare I say peaceful, I wonder why Ginkgo's father. He was under the control of someone else at that time, Naruto asserts, someone who wanted to destroy Konoha and all that it stood for. So do you. No, I don't know who it was, and neither does the Baka. Kitsune, ow, Ginkgo, Chan. I told you I won't tolerate you calling Otou, Sama that. Just for that, no cuddling for you tonight, adds Naruto. Fine. Normally you would start hugging me and beg me to forgive you by now. With the exception of the fact that Ginkgo, Chan and I agreed to let Kurenai. Sensei have you tonight, Yugito chuckles. What? Scream Naruto and Kurenai. Gaara declares, I'm heading back to my room, hoping to leave the scene before things get out of control. Ginkgo, Chan and I will stand guard tonight, so you two can sleep till the morning. Wait a min. They fall in a heap after Yugito shoves Naruto into Kurenai before he can even finish the sentence. Quickly responding, Yugito encircles the Junin with Naruto's arm while Ginkgo moves behind Kurenai and ties Naruto's wrists together with a rope, forcing Naruto's arm to do the same. After wriggling around, Naruto discovers that he is unable to escape the rope. Don't even bother trying Naruto.kun, Kurenai. Sensei. The ropes are infused with Yugito. Sans chakra, she's the only one who can untie them. Ginkgo responds, nothing will let you break out of them, not brute strength, not even Nawanuk no Jutsu. We were saving them for other purposes when we are older, but it's not like you can break out of them even if you knew about them anyway. Now why don't you two get some rest while I go and send out our spies, Yugito chuckles. When Toki arrived the following morning, the people in the room were in this condition. Kurenai and Naruto are still holding arms around each other, but Yugito had taken off the ropes after the two had finally stopped whining and gone to sleep. Meanwhile, Yugito and Ginkgo were already dressed normally and conversing with one another. What is this? Toki is screaming for a sensei to sleep with her student. Actually, Kurenai Sensei and Naruto-kun are together before Kurenai Sensei even became our squad's sensei, Yugito replies. Since I don't really understand the custom of ninja villages, I suppose I should reserve judgment regarding their age difference. Clearly annoyed, Ginkgo asks, do you need us for something, Toki? Dono? I wanted to ask Kurenai-san to accompany me to the business district here in the capital, but I'll wake her up, she should be ready in about half an hour, Toki. Dono, Yugito responds. Thank you, Yugito-san. The group has been spying for a week, but they have not been able to identify the person who killed the previous daimyo. The girls are about to give up and devise a new plan when a black cat rushes into their room, swiftly followed by Naruto and Gaara. The cat yells, Yugito Sama, and leaps onto Yugito's lap. Did you find something, Kaneko-chan? I was staying on top of the roof of Musu's house, says the feline. I haven't heard anything for a few days, but just today I heard someone talking in the room. What did they say? I don't really understand what they said, Naruto Sama, but I am sure that most of the voices came from above ground. How did you figure that? I've heard Musen talk plenty of times, so I can gauge how far from the roof he is. But this time, the other voices are a lot closer to me. Naruto leaps up, performs a backflip, and places his feet on the ceiling while staring at the room's ceiling. The room should be roughly the same size as Musu's meeting room, Naruto thinks as he looks toward the floor, recalling the one time he went to Musu's house with Sagi. Naruto sits on the ceiling and turns back to face the cat. Let's see. If I'm Muso, I should be at about this height, Naruto responds. When the cat says, Muso speaks softer, but the distance is about right. And the other voices you heard, about how far were they? If the ceiling in this room is the floor of that room, then I guess about Yugito Sama's height when she's sitting down. Naruto releases his chakra and is on his feet. Even if they are giants, they can't be tall enough to be within reach of the ceiling in that room, he says. They must have been ninjas. Yugito asks, so what should we do now? Let's tell Daimyo, Dono and Toki. Don't know what we found out first, Kurenai responds. Whatever it is that we are to do, we must proceed only with their permission. You're right, Kurenai Sensei. Let's go, Naruto responds. Naruto requests and is granted an audience with the princess and the daimyo, after which he informs them of the new information. Sagi asserts, so Muso is responsible. Kurenai asks, what do you intend to do, daimyo? Dono. We shall capture Muso and execute him for treason, Toki declares. Not to be rude, Toki. Dono, but how do you plan to go about capturing him? Naruto inquires. He has ninjas under his control, and he is most likely a ninja himself. I doubt he would sit around and wait for you to catch him. Namikaze-san is correct, Toki. We need a plan. But brother, I do have an idea, but please go ahead, Namikaze-san, Sagi says. It's difficult to deal with Muso and his ninjas when they are in the shadow, says Naruto, so let's bring them out into the light. What does that entail exactly? Naruto looks around before requesting Sagi's permission to approach. Sagi nods his head without hesitation, and Naruto follows him. Toki is intrigued and leans in to see what ambitious schemes the young ninja is considering. Sagi and Toki appear anxious at first, but the anxiety quickly fades and the daimyo and his sister smile. Following the conclusion of the meeting, the royal house issues a decree outlining the initial reason for the Konoha Nin's arrival, the discovery at the royal mausoleum, and the fact that they have identified the murderer. As soon as the decree is read to the public, a spooky silence descends upon Tori no Kuni, the capital. Everyone is horrified and shocked that the daimyo would be killed, but even more horrified is the fear that they are the target of the royal house's attention because of some false information from their enemy, even if it is just because of a small argument. The following day, Komei and Muso both show up at the royal residence requesting a meeting with the daimyo. Lord Muso, Lord Komei, what bring you here today? My lord, I heard that the daimyo's death was the result of murder, Komei responds. Have you arrested the ones responsible yet? No, I'm afraid not, Sagi responds, but I have sent the Konoha.nin out to make the arrest. I wish to personally see to the execution of those responsible for such a traitorous act, says Muso. Of course, Lord Muso. I assure you that you will be present when the traitors are executed. Thank you, my lord. Is that the only business you have here today? Sagi inquires. That is all, my lord. Thank you for allowing us to meet with you today, Kome responds. Muso and Kome bow and retreat out the door. Just before the door closes, a shadow enters the room as Muso turns around and subtly flexes his wrist. Muso, claiming to be elderly, approaches the palace gate slowly. Within 10 steps, they hear a loud grunt of pain coming from the room they just left. Kome and Muso turn around and dash back toward the chamber, startled. When the two advisors open the door and examine the scene, they discover that Sagi has a masked ninja pinned beneath him. Abruptly, a sizable contingent of royal guards rushes in their direction and aims their spears at Muso. Kome retreats in confusion, glancing between Muso and Sagi. After Sagi says, "Muso, for murdering the previous daimyo and attempting to murder the current daimyo, you are hereby under arrest," smoke bursts out, enveloping Sagi's body before it clears to reveal Naruto. After muttering, "Henge no jutsu," Muso leaps to the roof and takes off his disguise. "I knew I should have eliminated you Konoha.nin before you can even enter the capital," he says. Naruto says, "Watari.nin Huki, you've already lost. So don't make it hard on yourself and surrender," before hurriedly leaving the chamber and handing the guards the captured ninja. Naruto has already been affected by Huki's genjutsu before he has even taken 2 steps back into the light. However, a swarm of shuriken pursues Huki back before he can flee. Looking back, Naruto has already been broken out of the genjutsu by Kurenai, who has already materialized behind him. The genjutsu mistress of Konoha, "Yes, I definitely should have killed you lot." A voice says, "It's over for you Huki," from behind the Watari.nin. Huki is hit from behind and knocked off the building's roof before he can even turn around. The Naruto next to Kurenai, however, leaps up to meet him instead of landing painfully on the ground, kicks him back into the air with Kage Buyu, and then vanishes. When Huki looks up, he sees the Naruto who threw him off the roof leaping after him. After lightning fast combo, Naruto's Shishi Renden knocks Huki out on the ground. Simultaneously, Yugito, Ginkgo, and Gaara arrive in the courtyard with a handful of Watari.nin that are unconscious. "Guess you guys got them all?" "Yeah, they aren't all that tough. Not even good enough for a spar," Yugito replies. Gaara stresses the point by lifting the ninja with his sand. "Although this big one did cause a bit of a problem, even tried to copy my Sabaku Q technique," he says. "Nice job, Namikaze.san," Sagi remarks as he and Toki emerge from a side path. With his eyes darting to the side, Naruto approaches Sagi and uses his bare arm to block a katana blow. After cutting a few millimeters deep, the katana is stopped by a thin layer of swirling chakra. The green-haired Watari.nin drops his katana in shock and takes a tentative step back. The Watari.nin turns around and attempts to flee, but Naruto uses the blunt side of the katana to knock him down. When the guards pick him up off the ground, the Watari.nin asks, "Ho, how? You're fast, but I'm much faster," Naruto responds, "After all, my father is the Konoha no Kiroi Senku. Son of the Yellow Flash, impossible, guards, take them away," Sagi responds. "Make sure you keep their arms separate. They're ninjas, they can use their techniques to escape if you let them use their hands." "Hi, Daimyo. Dono. Thank you very much Namikaze.san," Sagi responds, "It's because of you that my father can finally rest in peace. And it's thanks to you that Oni-sama is still alive right now," Toki says, offering Naruto a bow. "Well, being bodyguards was part of the mission after all," Naruto says, embarrassedly massaging the back of his head. This was all a plan Daimyo. Dono. Oh, Kome. I apologize if I scared you," Sagi responds, "but yes, this is all part of Namikaze-san's plan to expose the traitors. But to have him act as the daimyo, well, I only made one promise as the daimyo, and that's for Muso to be present when the traitors are executed," Naruto responds. "I don't see any problem with that. He's going to be right there with the rest of them after all." "Yes, you were very careful with your wording, weren't you Namikaze.san?" Toki responds with a giggle. "I heard the entire conversation from behind the screen doors." Naruto looks at Toki as if he wanted to say something but decided against it and remained silent. Naruto's group agrees, with the daimyo's approval, to remain in the capital until the traitors are put to death and are unquestionably no longer a threat to the royal family before returning to Konoha. Minato gave Squad 9 a week off after they got back to Konoha and then instructed them to get ready for another out-of-town mission. When Kushina learned that Naruto had personally asked for the next mission, she quickly changed her mind about her husband sending their son everywhere. Minato invites Naruto to visit his office before dispatching his son's team on their mission. "So, what's the matter, Dad?" Naruto inquires. "My team is all ready to go. I got a report last night. They found Mizuki, at least we think it's Mizuki. Where is he? Dead, says Minato. Somehow he aged quite a bit since he disappeared. There is also the matter that there's a strange seal on his tongue that we can't figure out quite yet. That means he used the incomplete formula. But where did he get all those ingredients? Naruto murmurs, Danzo's nay. It's possible. Combined with the Anbu that took him away, it certainly makes sense, says Minato, and seeing as the experiment failed, they just discarded the broken tool. Which also means that Danzo has his hands on the incomplete formula, and he might try to complete it. That is something else we need to be wary of, Minato continues. Before I send you off, I want to know exactly what it is that you have planned, so that I would be prepared when it happens. Well, would it be a problem if I bring back a few nins? That depends on who they are. Kirigakure no Kijin and his apprentice. Kiriga, Momochi Zabuza? Minato murmurs, you want to bring Zabuza and his apprentice to Konoha? Well, he has 3 people following him around, his apprentice and the Oni Kyodai, so that makes it a new 4-man squad for Konoha if I can get them to join us. We are talking about the same person who tried to overthrow the Mizukage, right? Well yeah, but that was because the Mizukage ordered to kill everyone with a Kekkei Genkai in Kiri, Naruto responds. In a way that's how Raiga defected too now that I think about it. Raiga wouldn't have found him without the order to kill everyone possessing Kekkei Genkai. Raiga? Kirigakure no Raijin Kurisuki Raiga. Yeah, but I don't know where he is, yet. Oh, I ran into him and his gang during my past life. I just don't think his gang has taken root yet. Wait, you're not thinking that. We need a lot of strong fighters, so why not? That might be the case, Naruto, but to bring in all those outsiders? It's fine, Otou.san. Everything will work itself out. You're impossible sometimes, you know that, Naruto? I know. I'm a hopeless optimist. You have no idea how many times I've heard that already. Minato sighs and says, I'll prepare the paperwork. You should get together with your team. All right. I'll be back soon enough. As Naruto approaches the mansion's entrance, he sees his team waiting for him, Yugito clutching Naruto's backpack. Naruto apologizes for being late, grabs his own backpack, and leads the group out the door. Team 9 discovers Team 7 waiting for them on the main road leading to the village gates as they leave the village. Kakashi, leaning against the wall to the side, observes Sakura standing nervously between the two teams and Sasuke and Kiba standing in the center of the road, glaring at Team 9. So you're leaving the village again, says Kiba. Does the son of the Hokage get special privilege to go on high-rank missions while the rest of us, like me, toil away with D-rank missions? There is no reason for me to be stuck here doing these senseless missions when you go out on C-rank missions, especially when I'm clearly superior to you, Sasuke responds. Our team is just as good as your team, Sakura declares in support of her teammates. Sasuke was one of the top overall students in the class, and while Kiba was a class clown, he was still one of the top in taijutsu. Naruto asks, and how do you fit in your team, Sakura? You were one of the smartest students in our year, but you have no other outstanding attribute, says Naruto. Having the smarts is good and all, but you have yet to show any specialty that is useful in an actual mission. The only reaction she gets from her two teammates is patronizing looks, which subtly validate what Naruto said. Sakura slumps her shoulders and lowers her head to shield herself from the stares of those around her. Keep your head up, Sakura. It's easy to get better once you know what your weaknesses are, Naruto advises. There is one thing you do better than anyone on your team, including Kakashi, sensei. Sakura asks in a hopeful whisper, and what's that? All I hear from Kiba and the Uchiha are Aizen, Mies, but you keep referring to the entire team and supported your teammates, says Naruto. I'm sure Kakashi sensei told you already. Genins are put into teams for a reason, but Kiba and the Uchiha doesn't really care about that particular part, do they? That applies even to you, Kakashi sensei. If you abide by your own rules, I doubt I can say what I did about Sakura. You're right, Naruto. I haven't been fair to everyone on the squad, Kakashi responds. A team is only as strong as its weakest link. The stronger the weakest member is, the stronger the team is, says Naruto, and if the two of you want to know why you're doing D-rank missions, why don't you ask the little Uchiha why he got his team 6 months worth of D-rank missions? What do you mean he got us 6 months worth of D-rank missions? Kiba shouts, you mean he's the reason I'm stuck doing these meaningless chores? Here you are again with the Aizen, Mies Kiba. The entire team is responsible for each action of each individual member on the team. Until you learn that, the only missions your team deserves are D-rank missions, Naruto says before turning to his companions. Come on, let's go guys, we have a mission to get to. We're late enough as it is. the client's probably going out of his mind at the gate. Team 9 agrees with their teammate and moves on toward the village gates, brushing past Team 7. With a growl, Sasuke takes a kunai from his weapons pouch. A column of sand rises from the ground and binds Sasuke's arm in place just as he has barely lifted his arm above his shoulder. This dislocates his wrist, but not enough to break it. Gaara turns around and gives Sakura and Kiba a chilly glare that stops them in their tracks. In his long, chilling voice, Gaara approaches Sasuke's face and says, "Perhaps you should consider your actions thoroughly before you take them." He offers this as a final warning and a merciful retaliation, saying, "If you even consider attacking anyone on Team 9, Naruto's fury will be the least of your worries. Because I cannot guarantee that there will be enough of you left for Naruto to take his anger out on." To further emphasize his point, 2 large slabs of meat from the side vendor are grabbed by another column of sand that shoots out to the side. Gaara brings the meat in front of Team 7, uses his Sabaku Susu to crush the slabs, and orders the sand to surround them. Gaara allows the sand to recede to reveal what little is left of the 2 items as she walks over to the vendor to pay for the meat. Although Sakura, Kiba, and Kakashi clearly understood the message, Sasuke's rage only grew stronger and he refrained from acting out because he is aware of when he is outclassed. Just as the Junin turns to face the other members of Team 9, Naruto crosses his arms and looks over toward Kakashi, who is watching the action from the sidelines. Naruto tilts his head and waits for Kakashi to respond, pointing his thumb toward the ground and making eye gestures toward Sasuke. At Naruto's silent question, Kakashi sighs and nods his head subtly. Only one other person saw the entire exchange between Naruto and Kakashi, and she made the decision to speak with the genin as soon as they set up camp for the night. To scout the area ahead of time and give Ginkgo time to change into her human form, Naruto and Ginkgo left the group behind. The other 3 team members all nod their heads when Naruto taps his right thigh twice upon their return. Team 9 immediately forms up around Tazuna after exiting the gates, with Naruto in front, Yugito and Ginkgo to the right, Kurenai to Tazuna's left, and Gaara at the back. The group soon discovered the same puddle that Naruto had encountered in a previous life. Naruto stretches, tilts his head slightly, and looks Kurenai in the eye. Kurenai nods. As the other 4 fighters leap up, with Gaara carrying Tazuna into the air, Naruto continues the motion, kicking a pebble on the ground and raising his leg in the air before lowering it again. The lone civilian in the group, Tazuna, looks in disbelief at the crater the kick left behind. To get away from the devastation, 2 figures leap out of the puddle, but as soon as they are in the air, Gaara's sand captures them. The only thing keeping the 2 figures from being crushed by former Ichibi Jinchuriki is that Naruto raised his hand as soon as Gaara had them. Oni Kyodai. They're both nuke. Kiri.nin, concludes Kurenai. Gaara asks, "What do you want me to do with them, Naruto?" "Let them go." The rest of the group yells, "What?" Naruto states, "They are of no threat to us," before focusing on the Oni Kyodai. "I doubt you 2 could have eluded capture for this long with this level of skill. Go back and tell your leader how you 2 were defeated by one move by a genin." Following the Oni Kyodai's escape, Kurenai remarks, "You must have gone mad, Naruto, and I must have too, to let you let them go just like that." "My target is their leader," says Naruto. Rumor has it that the Oni Kyodai helped Kirigakure no Kijin escape after the failed coup. Kurenai yells, "You want Zabuza? Have you gone crazy?" "I'll explain when we set up camp for the night," Naruto responds. "Let's go. We have a ways to go before we get to our transport." "Uchiha Sasuke is arrogant, that much is true," says Kurenai, "but you're not that much better in that regard, Naruto." "You're right, Kurenai. Sensei, if I'm just any regular run of the mill genin." Looking at Naruto's back as the group sets out again, Kurenai finds it hard to refute Naruto's assertions due to the confidence he exudes and the trust the other 3 kids in the group display. It is so convincing to her that even the careless genin can defeat the Kirigakure no Kijin. Kurenai can't help but think that maybe this confidence and sense of security from Naruto is what drew her to him. Kurenai now views this punishment as a disguised benefit, considering how strongly she opposed it when Kushina first raised the idea a year ago. The group has gone far enough to arrive at the transport by mid-morning the following day when they finally set up camp for the night. Naruto offers to be the first watch after supper, and everyone else leaves to get some sleep. Kurenai wakes up approximately 5 hours later, still in a daze, and tries to recall where she is. Kurenai looks around, finally remembering that she is on a mission. It is at least 2 hours into Kurenai's supposed shift when she looks up at the sky and sees Naruto adding more branches to the dying campfire. Kurenai approaches the genin and sits down beside Naruto. "Why didn't you wake me up, Naruto?" You looked so peaceful I didn't want to wake you up, Naruto responds. It's alright. I can stay up all night. I'm supposed to be the Junin in this squad, Naruto claims. I didn't mean to demean you Kurenai. Chan. As he looks at Kurenai with wide eyes. I know you didn't Naruto, not after what you said to Kakashi's team today, Kurenai responds, but it feels like I'm just someone who happens to be tagging along sometimes. Kurenai. Chan, when we captured Mizuki and when we were in Tori no Kuni, you were the one who planned out everything and gave the orders, says Kurenai. Now you're the one taking charge again on this mission. As your supposed girlfriend I guess it's reassuring that you are so strong, but as your Junin instructor, I feel pretty useless. Kurenai. Sensei. Kurenai laughs dryly and asks, that's just it isn't it? That's all I am to you, Sensei and Oni.san. What do you mean? Just when I'm starting to get used to the idea, I guess that's all I'm ever going to be to you. I really don't understand what you mean Kurenai, Sensei. What are we, in your eyes? We? Naruto responds, oh, we. I don't know really. You were the one forced into this so. Kurenai says, I don't really mind that anymore, which causes Naruto to look up at her in disbelief. At first, I was a little worried, but the other girls are right. As long as I'm happy with it, it doesn't really matter how other people would look at us. When you keep avoiding Asuma, Sensei, I just thought that you still haven't gotten over the breakup. As embarrassing as it is to admit considering that I'm supposed to be in control of my emotions, Asuma was my first love, Kurenai continues. I don't know if Asuma and I can even get back to being anything but associates. What I do know is that I can't let that prevent me from getting into a relationship with anyone else. Naruto asks, but why me? You can do much better than me. After saying, I believe in fate, Naruto. Fate put us together so I am willing to give it a chance. Kurenai smirks in spite of the circumstance, adding, besides, age and arrogance aside, you're not that bad of a catch yourself. Naruto scoots over and puts his right arm around her shoulders, saying, Kurenai-chan, I apologize for not considering your feelings. Kurenai doesn't even try to distance herself from Naruto as she whispers, can you at least tell me what you are planning to do on this mission? When I said I want Zabuza, I didn't mean I want to fight him, says Naruto. I want to recruit him. Kurenai asks, recruit him? Letting the Oni Kyodai go was just a sign of goodwill. Naruto replies. I'm sorry if I made you worry. How do you plan on getting him to join us? I don't know yet, but killing the Oni Kyodai or turning them over to Kiribati then wouldn't do us any good, says Naruto. Like I said then, any one of us on our team can beat both of them together. So letting them go poses no threat to us. I guess you're right, Kurenai responds. There's another thing I want to talk to you about. What seems to be the problem Kurenai? Sensei. Kurenai blushes and leans into him, asking, first, can you keep calling me Kurenai-chan when we're alone? Of course Kurenai-chan. Now, what do you want to take to me about? It's about this morning, Kurenai responds. What did you say to Kakashi when Gaara was threatening his team? I know Kakashi. Sensei wants to teach the Uchiha everything he knows to repay the debt to Obito. Naruto responds. I just gestured to Kakashi. Sensei that the Uchiha is not ready to gain that kind of power yet. Is that it? I know that the Chunin exam is coming up in a few months, Naruto responds, and Kakashi has been planning on teaching the Uchiha the Chidori before the exams are over. I was telling him the Uchiha is not ready to take on the responsibility of using that technique quite yet more than anything. And I guess Kakashi agrees with you. It would appear so, Naruto responds. So does this mean that we are you know? As Naruto nods uneasily, Kurenai asks, dating? I'm disappointed, Naruto.kun. Do you think I'm the type of woman who would just sleep with anybody? What? No, of course not, I'm just kidding Naruto.kun. But it's still a fact that you're the only male I've ever shared a bed with. So you have with women then? Don't get any weird thoughts in your head now Naruto, says Kurenai. We had sleepovers back when I was a kid too, and I was and still am very good friends with Shizune, Rin, Yugo, and Anko. Come on Kurenai-chan, you're not that much older. Naruto, it doesn't matter to me Kurenai-chan. People will still frown on us dating. I've never been the type to care about what other people think of my personal life, Naruto replies. If you don't mind then I don't see why I should. Then I guess you're lucky I don't care about what other people think either. Yes. I am lucky, aren't I? Naruto responds. What do you say we wait out the hour then have Gaara take over the last shift? Actually, I had wanted to stay up and watch the sunrise together. We can do that too. But you've already, I told you Kurenai-chan, I can stay up all night. The group starts to pay close attention to their surroundings later that day after entering Nami no Kuni territory, fully aware that Oni Kyodai must have already returned to their leader. The group all turns to watch Ginkgo when he lets out a low growl about halfway to Tezuna's village. The group is briefly encircled by a huge dome of sand that abruptly rises from the ground before being struck by a large object. As the sand dome dissipates, Yugito and Ginkgo vanish underground, nodding their heads when Naruto looks at them. As he stoops to pick up the massive cleaver on the ground, a figure remarks, well, I guess now I see why the Oni Kyodai were defeated so easily, by the technique you just used, the sand demon of Suna I assume. Gaara remarked, I haven't heard that name in a long time. So I guess the rumors are true, you have joined Konoha. Naruto looks at Kurenai as Gaara and the assailant converse, and Kurenai nods back. As Naruto charges at Zabuza, Kurenai approaches Tezuna and calls for Gaara to accompany her in defending the client. Naruto is forced to halt his sweeping kick and leap back to prevent his leg from being severed when Zabuza swings the cleaver at the ground while holding up the Kabikiri Haucho and deflecting all of the weapons that the three ninjas hurl at him. Yugito and Ginkgo have already made their way into the forest, while Naruto and Zabuza are engaged in combat in the clearing. After exchanging a brief glance, the two separate, Ginkgo heading deeper into the forest and Yugito heading toward the water's edge. To make it easier to track her targets, Ginkgo dives into the bushes and changes back into her fox form. Similarly, Yugito jumps into the trees and begins looking around for her prey. Ginkgo wrinkles her nose and sniffs the air before grinning. Ginkgo creeps slowly toward her targets while remaining close to the ground and concealing her entire body with the foliage. The two Noob.Nin are so engrossed in the battle between Naruto and Zabuza that they are unaware of their predicament until something behind them lets out a savage growl. The Oni Kyodai flees from the beast, screaming in terror as they dash into the clearing. Unlike her friend, who hunts in silence, Yugito tracks her target by creating as much noise as she can. The people in the clearing are unable to hear the noise from Naruto and Zabuza's fight because of the distance, but Yugito's target must move from her hiding place in order to get away from her assailant. The girl is soon pursued to the forest's edge as she hears an increasing amount of noise. Yugito smirks and shoots the masked Kunoichi with a barrage of kunai, forcing her to retreat into the clearing. Zabuza jumps backward to put some distance between himself and Naruto after being startled by the unexpected arrival of his three charges. The smirking human form of Ginkgo emerges from the forest, trapping the Oni Kyodai between Naruto and himself. After successfully flushing out the masked Kunoichi, Yugito emerges into the clearing behind him. The masked Kunoichi fires a senbon at Zabuza, striking him in the back of the neck with a wrist flex. Gaara launches two sand columns at the Oni Kyodai after noticing Naruto's nod. As they attempt to flee, the Oni Kyodai discovers a senbon hitting the back of their neck before the sand reaches its targets. I don't know why your team interfered with my mission to eliminate Momochi Zabuza and the Oni Kyodai, but I suppose I should thank you for distracting them, said the masked Kunoichi. Naruto picks up the Kabikiri Honcho and says, you're welcome, Oinin.san. Let me help you take off their heads. Can't have a lady dealing with all that mess. Wait. Stop. What's wrong, Oinin.san? All you need to report to Mizukage. Sama, are their heads right? Naruto asks with a grin. What I do with their bodies is none of your business. It's our business if you're working for Zabuza, Naruto asserts. What nonsense are you taking about? You had so many chances to kill Zabuza before my teammate forced you out of the forest but you didn't attack, says Naruto. Besides, these aren't exactly spots you target when you want to kill somebody, at least not with a senbon. Better give up. We don't really want to hurt you guys, says Yugito. The masked Kunoichi shows her surrender by lowering her stance when she realizes she has no other choice. With a sigh of relief, Naruto places Zabuza's Kabikiri Honcho in the earth, far from the Noob.Nin that has been defeated. Boy, that thing was heavy. How the heck does Zabuza swing that thing around like it's nothing? Naruto responds. Despite Naruto's protests, the masked Kunoichi follows Zabuza. The Kunoichi takes the senbon off Zabuza's neck as carefully and gently as she can. After that, she simply removes the senbon from the Oni Kyodai's neck. Dang it, kid, can't you be a bit more gentle? Maizu whines, now my neck's going to be sore for days. You know the kid never cared about either one of us, Guzu replies. As the Kunoichi helps him sit up, Zabuza says, shut up before I take both of you out myself. All right, brat, you have our attention. What do you want with us, since you're obviously not interested in killing us? Zabuza asks. Oi, old man, did these four ever do anything to the villagers? Naruto inquires. No, can't say that I recall anything of the sort. Zabuza mutters, "Shay," as if we would be interested in them. Good. Then I'll take the four of you back to Konoha. So you can hand us over to Kiri and have them kill us instead? Oh, nothing like that. I want the four of you to join us and become Konoha.nin. Konoha.nin? Zabuza responds with disbelief, recruiting Nuke.nin to join your village? I might have expected something like this from newly founded villages like Otto, but certainly not from Konoha. We're not all that different from other villages. Who doesn't want strong ninjas on their side, says Naruto. So what's the catch? I want you to go back to Gato so he doesn't go and look for other shinobi. After that, you can lead him to us so we can deal with him and his goons. I doubt Gato is going to keep his end of the bargain. If another place is going to take us in for a while, why not? Zabuza responds. So all we have to do is help you trap Gato? Why not just have us take care of him for you? I don't just want Gato. I want to rid this place of his entire gang, Naruto declares. Who knows what the goons will do once Gato's dead. Zabuza picks up the Kabikari honcho and remarks, "You're planning things a lot more thoroughly than a lot of kids your age, so you got a name, kid?" Namikaze Naruto. Zabuza asks, his hold on the cleaver loosening a bit. "You're the son of the Yellow Flash, the baby hero?" "The baby hero?" inquires Naruto. "You mean you've never heard of that name before? Even I've heard of that from as far away as Kumo," Yugito responds. "They say that you chased away the Kyuubi as a newborn baby when the Kyuubi was about to destroy Konoha. Suna has stories of your legend as well, Naruto," Gaara continues. "I think he has a flea on sight order on you as soon as they've heard that story." "That's ridiculous," exclaims Naruto. "Yes, but he already has the same order on Hokage Sama. They now believe that his power is a Kekkei Genkai and you have gained his ability as a baby and the two of you combined chased away the Kyuubi with this power," Yugito responds. "But that's not even true, you guys know that." "Yes we do. But legends tend to be exaggerated stories in the beginning," Gaara responds, "and yours seems to be a bit more so than others." "Yes, and those stories have gained Konoha quite a reputation," Kurenai replies. "It's nice exchanging stories here and all, but don't you think we should be heading into town now, Naruto?" "Oh yeah. You guys should head back to your own hideout too," Naruto responds. "Remember, assure Gato that you guys can handle the job so he doesn't go out looking for other Nuke.nin. Yeah, kid. We are ninjas too. It's not that difficult to trick someone as dumb as Gato," Zabuza responds. "Just remember your end of the bargain when the deed is done. Konoha has to protect us from Kiri once we become Konoha.nin. Of course." Tazuna led the group back to his house, where his daughter and grandson were waiting, as soon as they arrived in Nami no Kuni. Inari was as far away from the squad as he had remembered. Even though Naruto really wanted to help Nami no Kuni before this day came, he was powerless to do so, just as he was powerless to help all of his other friends from his previous life. Since Konoha is a member of the High no Kuni Daimyo's military, a Konoha.nin cannot just enter a foreign country and attack someone without warning, unlike during times of war when anything goes. Without anyone asking Konoha for help, they would find it difficult to enter foreign countries, particularly those that are not affiliated with High no Kuni and Konoha, unless the locals at least gave them special consideration. That night, while lying in bed, Naruto looks up at the ceiling and muses over all the things he could have done if circumstances had been different. The fact that he was able to save Toki, Haim's brother, before Huki killed him was a welcome surprise. However, despite his knowledge that could have saved their lives, people like Kaiza here in Nami no Kuni and Hotarubi in Hoshigakure died for every person he saved, including Yugito and Sagi. Naruto sighs and listens to Yugito, Ginkgo, and Kurenai's gentle breathing as he tries to find a way to block out all the unsettling thoughts. Everyone in the room is suddenly awakened by a gentle tapping sound coming from the window. Yugito and Kurenai retrieve the weapons from under their pillow and take up defensive positions. But Ginkgo approaches and opens the window after Naruto points to it with his head. Kurenai says, "Naruto, what are you? I doubt an enemy would be nice enough to alert us she's coming," Naruto replies. "Besides, Ginkgo-chan told me that she's Zabuza's apprentice." "Oinin.san?" inquires Yugito. As soon as Ginkgo opens the window, the girl jumps up to say, "My name is Haku, and I would like to challenge Namikaze.san to a spar." Kurenai asks, "At this time of night? I find it impossible to do this at any other time," Haku states. Naruto laughs and explains, "So, Zabuza never gave you permission to do this." From her posture, Naruto can see that Haku is blushing from being caught, even though the mask is still on her face. Naruto gets up and moves toward the window, nudging Yugito to move aside. Naruto says, "You three stay here, I'll be back as soon as I can," without turning around. But Naruto-kun, don't worry Yugito-chan. It's just a spar, neither of us are going to get hurt, says Naruto. I don't want to do something that might make Zabuza back out of the deal, and I'm sure Haku-san is in the same boat. Kurenai asks, then why do you two still want to fight? Something must be bothering you enough for you to come here and request a spar knowing all that Haku-san, Naruto responds, so I'll comply if it mean this much to you. It is indeed important to me, and I thank you for agreeing, Haku responds. Well then, let's go, I'll let you choose the place. Haku says, very well, please follow me, and leaps toward the woods near Tazuna's house. Naruto leaps out the window and follows Haku to a far-off clearing. Naruto looks around and notices that this specific clearing is far from any obvious source of water. Naruto decides not to comment on it because Haku hasn't yet shown her Kekkei Genkai to anyone in his squad. So, can you tell me exactly why you want to spar against me? Says Naruto. Perhaps after a victor has been decided. Haku fires them at Naruto while reaching for her senbon, then flees into the forest. Rather than going after her, Naruto chooses to remain in the clearing and conjure up 3 cage bunchen so he can keep an eye out for any movement from every direction. Haku frowns as she looks at the clones from her hiding place in the trees. She can tell that these 3 bunchen are solid clones rather than the straightforward illusions taught in the academy because she has witnessed Zabuza's Mizu bunchen in action so many times. Haku would never have believed that Naruto, who is only a genin, could keep up 3 strong clones, even in light of his reputation and the actions of his squad that morning. Haku fires more senbon at one of the Naruto before hastily leaving for another location, regretting her choice of battlefield, particularly on a clear night with little water vapor in the air. All 4 Naruto say, this isn't going to work simultaneously as one of them deflects the senbon. Haku throws her voice to make it impossible to follow him, yet you cannot defeat me if you do not attack, she says. Oh, I can attack just fine, I just don't want to hurt you. Haku observes that one of the 4 Narutos in the clearing is grinning as he looks up in her direction. Haku rushes to another spot, shocked to learn that she has been found, only to have another Naruto in the clearing stare up at her. Given that she is unable to hide from Naruto, Haku charges in with the intention of eliminating at least one of them. If his words are accurate, Naruto may be deterred from attacking and allow her to flee back into the forest before she is harmed. Haku charges out of her position, directing all of her chakra toward her legs, but before she can launch an attack, a hand slams through the earth and grabs her arm, stopping her in her tracks. Another cage bunchen, but when the 4 Naruto standing in the clearing all vanish in a cloud of smoke as another Naruto emerges from the hole. Haku lowers her arms in embarrassment, finally realizing that she had been preoccupied with a group of cage bunchen the entire time. What use could she possibly have for the person who saved her life if she couldn't even see through such a basic ruse? She was meant to be Zabuza's backup plan, an extra pair of eyes. Naruto releases his hold on Haku's arm and asks, I guess you don't want to fight anymore? If you had attacked with a weapon instead of grabbing my arm, I would be dead already, Haku asserts. There is no point in fighting anymore when I fell for such a simple diversion tactic. I guess so. Too many people make things too complicated when the most direct way might have been the best, Naruto responds. So, can you tell me why you wanted to fight me now? Haku takes off her mask and sits on the back of her legs, her face flushed. Naruto sits cross-legged a few feet away from Haku, tilting his head to get a clear view of her face. Haku looks down and fiddles with the grass blades beside her while she waits for Naruto to calm down. When Zabuza-sama took me in, Haku starts without looking up. He treated me like his daughter and protected me. There is a soft side to Zabuza-sama that not even Gozu and Maizu have ever seen. Haku smiles as he looks up, remembering the good old days, and turns to face Naruto, who is waiting for her to finish her story with all of his focus. I should probably tell you why Zabuza-sama took me in the first place, Haku says, blushing at the attention. Back then, the Mizukage issued an order to kill everyone who possessed a Kekkei Genkai, and mine is the ability to control ice. My father found out and killed my mother because of it, and when he tried to kill me, something snapped inside of me and I used my power to kill him instead. Perhaps my father was right, I am a monster. Self-preservation. Every living thing in this world possesses that instinct. There is nothing monstrous about that, Naruto replies. You killed him in self-defense. He was the monster for killing you mother and trying to kill you just for having a Kekkei Genkai. Thank you Namikaze-san. After I killed my father, I ended up living in the streets until Zabuza-sama found me and took me in, Haku responds. I used to have nightmares about seeing my family lying in pools of blood, and Zabuza-sama Sama would check in on me whenever I woke up screaming. He started telling me bedtime stories to keep my mind off my past to help me sleep better, and my favorite story is the one about the baby hero. My story? Yes, Namikaze-san, Haku responds, and every night after hearing that story, I would feel like a great hero would protect me from the nightmares and I never had them again. I'm sure you can understand that a certain image built up in my mind about the baby hero. Naruto quips, I hope you're not too disappointed after seeing the real thing. Unfortunately, I was quite upset when I found out that you were the baby hero, Haku states, causing Naruto to take responsibility. I could not believe that the baby hero would use such an underhanded tactic to trap Zabuza. Sama. Naruto taps his chin thoughtfully and says, I guess that's why you wanted to fight me. I apologize for ruining your dream, man, he says. Haku was about to lash out at Naruto for mocking her when she saw the genuine expression on his face. Haku nearly misses what else Naruto has to say because he is so shocked by his response. Naruto recalls his hero from his former life, saying, I know what it means to have somebody to look up to and how disappointing it is to find out the person you look up to and the actual person are completely different. I used to have that too, but now that I get to spend some time with him, he doesn't really match up to the image I had of him either. Curious, Haku asks, who is that? My 2-san. He is this great hero in everyone's eyes, but the only image of him I have these days is the lost puppy look in his eyes whenever my Ka-san orders him around. As the picture takes shape in her head, Haku can't help but laugh. It's hilarious that the greatest ninja acknowledged by the 5 great nations would pout after his wife screamed at him. Haku gets up and wipes imaginary dust off her butts, looking at Naruto, who is laughing as he reenacts another scene in his mind. Disappointing, yes, but amusing nonetheless, and perhaps I will come to find that you can be just as amusing, Namikaze-san. Haku says with a grin, while it is disappointing that you would use such underhanded tactics, I must admit that you are strong, and you have my respect for that. And perhaps knowledge of such strength would still be useful in protecting me from the nightmares. I must return now before Zabuza. Sama becomes worried about me and comes searching for me. Yeah, I should probably head back before the girls get worried too, Naruto responds, see you later, Haku-san. Following Naruto's departure, a voice from the shadow asks, did you find the answer you were looking for, Haku? Yes, Zabuza. Sama, positive answers I hope? Yes, Zabuza. Sama, then let's head back. Yes, Za. And Haku, stop that. Haku smiles and responds, yes, Zabuza. Sama, as Zabuza begins to complain. A week later, a dense fog envelops the incomplete bridge, and for approximately 30 minutes, the sound of fighting reverberates throughout the area before the fog begins to lift, revealing 10 individuals. Zabuza has multiple deep gashes all over his body and is on one knee. About halfway between the land and the unfinished end of the bridge, Gozu and Maizu are lying face down on the ground close to the bridge's side. With the mask still on her face, Haku is breathing heavily while leaning against the side opposite the demon brothers. As she holds onto her kunai while leaning against the bridge's unused steel beams, Kurenai sustains multiple deep cuts on her arms and legs, while Tazuna cowers behind the beams. In front of her, Yugito and Ginkgo are lying on the ground with blood seeping from the corners of their mouths. Gaara is lying face down in front of Haku, his sand covered in dried mud on the ground. Approximately 10 steps away from Zabuza, Naruto is hunched over, gasping for air, just like Haku. Tazuna and Kurenai are instantly killed when a huge wind in. Electric Dragon crashes down where they are. The electricity travels through the steel beam. Naruto's eyes widen as he turns to face the bridge's unfinished end, where he hears frantic laughter. Gato emerges from the mist and remarks, great job. I knew I made the right decision when I picked you over the worthless Zabuza. From above the electrified beams, a voice says, just make sure that you pay me on time. I'm not an idiot like Zabuza. If you don't pay me, I'll make sure you regret it. Naruto whispers, Kirigakure no Raijin Kurasuki Raiga, but how? As he finally spots the figure atop the beams. Oh, so the brat has heard of me. A voice yells, Sabaku Q, from behind Raiga. Raiga, who is barely able to jump over the sand, looks back toward the attack's origin and is shocked to see a fully recovered Gaara standing at the bridge's edge. Kage Bunshin appears as each of the individuals on the bridge vanishes in a cloud of smoke as he turns to face them. Everyone except Naruto, who cleaned his body of the fake blood. A silver fox leaps up from beneath the bridge and slams into Gato before he can even become enraged, knocking him off balance and sending him staggering in Naruto's direction. Naruto grabs a loose wire from the ground and pulls hard, tying Gato up completely after he steps into a trap he set. Gato was instantly killed when a steel beam fell on him before he could even say a word. Everyone looks at Raiga in shock as she smirks and leaps down in front of Gatu's men. Looks like the idiot is dead, Raiga remarks, glancing at the thugs. So you guys are going to be obeying my orders after I deal with this bunch of kids, got it? Zabuza tells them, their answers won't matter, especially since you won't be around much longer to lead them anyway, as he and the other members of the Kabikari Haucho rush onto the bridge. Momochi Zabuza, I was wondering when you're going to show up. How low have you sunk to be working with someone from Konoha? Raiga responds, looks like Rai Ruga will get a chance to face the Kabikari Haucho again. Naruto looks tiredly at the bundle on Raiga's back as the two members of Kiri no Shinobigatana and Nananshu stare down at one another. After returning from this mission, he intended to begin searching for the Curry of Life store that Lee had discovered in his former life in the hopes of preventing Raiga from capturing the village before they could establish a foothold. He never thought about the possibility that Raiga might have gathered some of the thugs who had escaped Nami no Kuni to form the Kurasuki family, nor did he ever think about the possibility that Gatu would use Raiga as Zabuza's fallback option. Ginkgo lifts her snout and sniffs the air as she notices Naruto staring. As Zabuza and Raiga start fighting, Ginkgo's eyes widen and she dives back under the bridge before transforming back into a human and joining the others. Gara-san, whispers Ginkgo, there is someone hidden in the bundle on Raiga's back. Do you think you can separate the two and capture the hidden person? I'll need a distraction, says Gara, he seems protective of the bundle, I need to get his attention away from it and have his back turned toward me. I'll do it, Yugito responds. That person might be some sort of trump card, or at least someone important to him for Raiga to keep the person in mind while he's fighting Zabuza. Perhaps I can be of assistance as well, Haku responds, if you can detach the bundle from him, I can use my Kekkei Genkai to get it away from Raiga. Kurenai turns to face the Demon Brothers and says, you two think you can go after the thugs at the other end of the bridge? I'll use my Genjutsu to cover for you two when you move in Ginkgo, Yugito. Gara, Haku, you two should get ready, Kurenai says. After seeing what you did to those two thugs back at the house, Maizu responds, I don't think I can say no. Besides, I've been meaning to teach a few of them a lesson anyway, Gozu responds, let's go Maizu. Each of the three shinobi on the bridge turns to face the Demon Brothers as they run straight past them in their pursuit of the thugs at the other end. Taking advantage of the distraction, Yugito and Ginkgo attack Raiga, pushing him away from Zabuza and toward the other members of the group gathered close to the main land. They do this while remaining concealed beneath Kurenai's Genjutsu until the very last second. Gara, meanwhile, had already positioned himself behind the beams and waited for Raiga to approach sufficiently before letting loose his sand, removing the bundle from Raiga's back, and handing it to Haku. Haku quickly returns to Kurenai after catching the bundle, and thanks to her extraordinary speed, she reaches the bank before Raiga even notices what is going on. Raiga yells, give Renmara back. After completing his first goal, Gara moves in and helps the Demon Brothers deal with the thugs, while Naruto, who has finally realized what is going on, retreats back toward the bank with Yugito and Ginkgo. The Kabikari Haucho drives Raiga back before he can follow the three children. Naruto takes the bundle from Haku and places it on the ground. When he takes off the cloth, he sees a young boy who is about the same age as Konohamaru and Inari. Calmly, the boy asks, who are you? My name is Namikaze Naruto. Your name is Renmara, correct? Yes. Can you take me back to Raiga? He gets very upset when I'm not near him. As Zabuza retreats to defend the group, Yugito asks, why is he carrying you around like this? My body has always been very frail ever since I was born. I grew up in a village in Kirigakure until Raiga found me, Renmara recounts. Raiga says that I have a Kekkei Genkai and that I should leave Kirigakure with him. I have been with Raiga ever since. So you are another victim of Kirigakure's bloodline purge, says Kurenai. Do you think Tsunade.Ba-chan can treat his condition? Says Naruto. Overhearing the discussion as the Rai Ruga battles the Kabikari Haucho, Raiga asks, Tsunade? As in Senju Tsunade of the Sannin? Why would you care to help him? Konoha is looking for strong shinobi to join its rank right now, says Naruto. We've already recruited Zabuza's squad. So why don't I offer you a deal? You and Renmara come back to Konoha with us. I'll have Tsunade.Ba-chan take a look at Renmara's condition, and if she can heal him, you and Renmara join Konoha's ranks. Raiga grunts as he challenges Zabuza to a strength match, asking, and if she can't? You can take Renmara and leave Konoha, no questions asked. Why should I trust you? I promise you on my family's name, Naruto declares. If I break my word, I do not deserve the name Namikaze Naruto. Namikaze, Naruto? Murmurs Raiga. Gazing up in wonder, Renmara asks, the baby hero? Not again. See Naruto.kun. I told you were famous, Yugito utters. Raiga jumps away from Zabuza and says, so you're Namikaze Minato's son. I will agree on one condition, though. Renmara doesn't leave my side at any time. Deal. Naruto responds. Dad's going to be so happy that I managed to convince both Momochi Zabuza and Kurasuki Raiga to join Konoha. Kurenai asks, Hokage. Sama asked you to recruit them? A permanent mission to recruit anyone I deem worthy of joining Konoha's ranks, Naruto states. Zabuza and Raiga were Anbu rank shinobi back in Kiri, weren't they? That much was true, snorts at Zabuza. Naruto. Sama? Shouldn't we go and help Gaara-san? Ginkgo inquires. The group looks up to see Gaara and the Demon Brothers being gradually pushed back by the thugs. Even though Gaara is skilled, he is gradually becoming overwhelmed by the sheer number of thugs and the need to protect the Demon Brothers. A water dragon sweeps the thugs away before they can even move, and a lightning strike that is strategically placed kills many of them and drives the others back to the ships. Naruto looks over his shoulder and notices Raiga putting his sword away and Zabuza lowering his arm. Naruto smirks and says, you two still act like a team, no matter how much you two hate each other. Zabuza advises, just be thankful that his skill hasn't slipped. Raiga responds, I can say the same thing about you, and engages Zabuza in debate. Kurenai murmurs, men, while Haku laughs beside her. All of a sudden, a sizable contingent of villagers shows up carrying scythes, garden forks, and other farming implements. Tazuna approaches the group of ninjas gathered near the bank after scanning the area for enemies. I guess we got here too late. You can help clean up the bridge, Zabuza replies, pointing to the incomplete end where a number of bodies are scattered. Upon noticing a single body, Tazuna asks, is that Gatu? Raiga says, yeah, that's the short fat bastard, scooping Renmara up and placing him back on his back. The team remains in Nami no Kuni until the bridge is finished. Renmara became close to Haku during that time and frequently referred to her as Haku.ne-chan. Additionally, Raiga would only permit Haku to assist in caring for Renmara, aside from Naruto. When the group eventually makes it back to Konoha, 4 Noob.nin are seen walking down the main street toward the Hokage Tower, instantly causing the entire shinobi population to become tense. As she approaches the office, the secretary waves the group inside without even looking up when she hears Naruto's voice because Minato is not at all comfortable with the idea of letting a group of Noob.nin into his own house. Minato drops the brush when he sees Kurasuki Raiga while looking up from his paperwork. Hi Dad. Naruto. You only told me you got Zabuza's team to join Konoha, why didn't you tell me about Kurasuki Raiga as well? Minato yells. Well, technically he hasn't joined yet. He'll only join if Tsunade.ba-chan can treat Renmara's illness. And where is this, Renmara? Renmara says, I'm here, from behind Raiga. Raiga shifts his weight, takes the bundle off his back, and flips it so the Hokage can see the boy inside. With a sigh, Minato dispatches his secretary to fetch Tsunade from the hospital. Minato gives Zabuza's team ninja register forms and formally adds them to Konoha's roster while they wait. As Tsunade enters the Hokage's office, she asks, you wanted to see me, Minato? Yes, I have a patient here that I want you to take a look at. When Tsunade turns around to follow Minato's gaze, Raiga shoves Renmara in her face. Tsunade backs off and looks at the happy boy who is being held up in front of her. Tsunade holds her head out over Renmara's forehead, performs a series of hand seals, and raises an eyebrow. Raiga asks, so how is he? With a faint undertone of anxiety and worry. It's not a deadly condition or even untreatable if that's what you're worried about, Tsunade states. That's not to say it's easy to treat either, and it's sure as heck going to take a long time before he fully recovers. Tsunade jumps back, finally noticing the other people in the room, and her eyes widen as she looks at the person holding the child. Tsunade charges in, gathering chakra in her hands, but is stopped by Naruto and Minato. What are you two doing? Let go of me, Naruto and Minato both say. Tsunade.ba-chan, they already agreed to join Konoha's ranks, simultaneously. Tsunade turns to face Minato and asks, and you let them join? I don't really see why not. You must be out of your mind, Minato. Tsunade responds with a sigh, alright, give me the child so I can take him to the hospital and give him a full checkup. He's staying with me, if he goes to the hospital, then I'm going with him. Suit yourself, let's go. I'll send the registration form to the hospital as soon as I have it ready, says Minato. Whatever. I still reserve my rights to leave the village if this woman can't treat Renmara, Raiga responds. He's the only reason I'm even in this village in the first place. Naruto shrugs his shoulder and says, that was part of the deal, while Minato turns to face him. Alright, I guess that sounds fair, Minato responds. I have a house set up for Zabuza's team, but I didn't anticipate you coming to Konoha as well, Kurisuke Raiga, so I guess I'll have you stay with them for now. Raiga turns to Tsunade and asks, does Renmara need to stay at the hospital? It'll certainly be easier to keep an eye on his condition that way, Tsunade adds. Then I'm staying at the hospital with him. Normally I'd toss you out after visiting hours are over, but I guess I'll make an exception for you, Tsunade states. You have best not cause any problem while you are there, or else I'll give you a reason to stay in the hospital with the kid. The former Kiri.Nin pulls Renmara back and places the boy on his back once more just as Tsunade reaches out to take him from Raiga's hands. Tsunade shrugs her shoulders and motions for Raiga to accompany her to the hospital. Before congratulating and dismissing Team 9, Minato calls one of the employees and asks the young man to lead Zabuza's team to their new home. Team 9 returns to the Namikaze compound after assisting Zabuza's team in settling into their new residence. Naruto pushes through the crowd and locks himself in the study, ignoring all the questions the girls have about the mission. Kushina gestures for the girls to give Naruto some space and asks Kurenai to describe the entire mission. Kurenai says, that's basically everything that happened pertaining to the mission, following her report. There's nothing there that would cause Naruto to act this way, Kushina responds. Are you sure that's all there is? I'm not really sure, Kurenai responds. I talked to him about our relationship on the way to Nami no Kuni, but that doesn't really pertain to the mission. It didn't end well. Oh no, we are. Well, I suppose we are now officially dating. That shouldn't cause him to be this upset. Oh, I give up. I'll just leave it to Minato to talk to Naruto. After deciding on a plan of action, Kushina continues to make fun of Kurenai for dating Naruto until Minato gets home from the Hokage Tower. Kushina positions himself in front of the doorway, obstructing Minato's path as the Hokage staggers through the door holding a big stack of paperwork. Kushina-chan, is something wrong? Your son locked himself in the study as soon as he came back home. The study? That's not like him at all, Minato responds. Don't worry, I'll check on him after I check on Akemi. Minato takes the piles of papers and goes to the study after making a brief visit to his daughter's room and grinning at the sight of the infant girl sleeping soundly. After extracting the keys and opening the door, Minato discovers roughly 10 Naruto occupied with various scrolls at various desks scattered throughout the space. Naruto, is something the matter? It's nothing, Dad. Minato sighs and sets down the stacks of papers, asking, Naruto, what's going on? I froze up. What? Despite all of my experience, I froze up the moment something unexpected happens, Naruto says, slamming his fist against the table, when Raiga showed up in Nami no Kuni. You are too dependent on your memory, Minato says with a scowl. You should know by now that things won't go as you remember. I know. If it wasn't for Kurenai Sensei taking over the reins when I froze up, I doubt we would have even made it back in one piece. So what are you doing now? Going over every scroll on tactics in this study. Nothing will change if you plan on applying those tactics on what you think will happen, says Minato. You were the Hokage for how long? How many battles did you fight in? You know every one of those tactics and more already. All you need to do is just clear your mind of your past. It's not easy to do. I lived through all those things. Every time I look at something that reminds me of the past, I can't help but think back. I know what you mean, Naruto. I get flashbacks of the last war as well, Minato responds. I'm not saying your memory is useless. They can allow us to anticipate danger, just don't build your strategy around it. Maybe you should let Kurenai take charge for a while, just to get back to reacting naturally on missions. You did say your squad came out unscathed because of her leadership. Naruto slouches his shoulders and says, I guess you're right, as the clones all vanish. As Naruto moans, Minato remarks, I heard that you two finally got together, speaking of Kurenai. I'm surprised that she would want to be with someone like me. And why wouldn't she? You've grown into a fine young man, Naruto. Have more confidence in yourself. I already have so many girls around me, and not everyone is willing to share, as you can see from Yakumo-chan's reaction. Well, the other girls don't seem to mind Kurenai, Minato responds. So how do you really feel about Kurenai? Does it help if I tell you that every guy in the Rookie 9 beside the Uchiha had a crush on Kurenai-chan at one point or another in my past life? Rookie 9 Yeah, as in not counting Guy Sensei's team. I see. So, anything happened while I was on my mission? No, it was almost a bit too quiet, Minato responds, but then everyone is preparing for the Chunin exam. So, it's that time already. As Minato approaches one of the shelves, he remarks, Jiraiya. Sensei's spy network is watching Suna and Otto right now. I almost forgot that Kyoko dropped off this scroll last week when she came over to play with the girls. Naruto takes the scroll from his father and opens it, his scowl growing with each line. Minato, worried, peers over his son's shoulder to see what the scroll has to say. When Minato sees the message, she yells, "Where did you get all this information?" Uchiha Makoto. That high up in the chain, so they are really going to. Looks that way. We still need to figure out when they'll do it though, Naruto responds. This is one thing I cannot be certain of. Itachi killed off the clan before they could start a rebellion. We'll just have to deal with things as they come, says Minato. Let's head downstairs. Your mom's been worried sick since you locked yourself in here. She should be happy that I'm studying. You can take up whatever complaints you have with her. No way. If I do that, Mom'll ban ramen for months. In order to preserve the village's strength and make it easier to prepare the teams for the Chunin exam given the number of foreign dignitaries that would be attending, all genin teams in Konoha are assigned monotonous missions for the upcoming month. To avoid having to deal with the group of swindlers who give them D-rank missions, Minato decides to give Squad 9 no missions at all. Hence, Squad 9 receives a full month of training time under Kurenai rather than wasting time developing teamwork like the other squads. They were occasionally joined in training by Anko, Yakumo, and Haku. It seems like Yakumo is purposefully avoiding Naruto, even though he doesn't say anything about it to the others. As they wait for Yakumo and Haku to join them for Genjutsu training, Kurenai distributes exam registration forms to her squad approximately 1 week prior to the Chunin exam. So, do you know if the others will be entering Kurenai, Sensei? Yugito inquires. Yes, I heard that Kakashi, Genma, and Asuma have already given their teams the forms. According to Kurenai, there will be a temporary Team 11 taking the exam too. Team 11? Asks Naruto. As Haku enters the clearing, he says, Yes, Namikaze-san, Team 11, a team of which I am a part of. Yugito inquires, so Team 11 is Zabuza's squad? No, Zabuza. Sama is already a Junin and Gozu and Maizu are both Chunin. Team 11 is a temporary squad consisting of Tamari-san, Tenten-san, and me. Haku responds, its formation is solely for the purpose of allowing the three of us to enter the Chunin exam. You're so lucky, Haku-chan, Yakumo says as he approaches the group. I don't have anyone to take the test with, so I can't go. Though I'm probably not physically ready to take the exam even if there was an opening. Kurenai states, well, looks like everyone is here, so I guess we can start training, before Yakumo can even make it that far. Everyone is sitting on the ground, exhausted, including Kurenai, at the end of the training session. She made a mental note to speak with Naruto about his new genjutsu, which she felt were a little too risque, but her smile conveys how proud she was of everyone. That particular trick seems to have been directed only at her, because none of the others seem to be bothered by it. Kurenai blushes at the memory of some of the scenes in the illusion alone. Kurenai shakes her head to get her thoughts straight, and she sees Naruto coming toward Yakumo. Hey Yakumo-chan, is something the matter, Naruto-san? Well, let's see, how should I put this? Naruto responds, well, it seems like you've been intentionally avoiding me lately. Looking up in surprise, Yakumo exclaims, before lowering her shoulders, I guess you're right. If it's about what happened to the Edo monster, that's not your fault. Well, I guess it's about that, a bit at least, Yakumo says as she twitches her index fingers. I know that you separated what the Edo monster did and what I did, but the Edo monster only lashed out because I got so jealous. Yakumo-chan, I've had some time to think things over, Yakumo says, interrupting Naruto. If I really felt about you as strongly as I thought I did, I should be happy that you have so many people that care about you, but instead I just got jealous of everyone. I realize now that it was a silly crush from the way you cared for me back then, and I'm almost over it now. You're not upset about that, are you? Naruto smiles as he responds, that's not fair, Yakumo-chan. There's no right answer for that question. I suppose you're right, Yakumo responds with a giggle. I'm still a bit embarrassed that I lashed out like that, so I guess I have been avoiding you for a bit. There's no need to be embarrassed about it, we're still friends, right? Yes, we are, Yakumo replies with a smile and a nod of her head. Well, since we are friends, you don't need to avoid me anymore. You're right, Naruto-san, Yakumo responds. I apologize for making you worry about me. Meh, don't worry about it, Yakumo-chan. We're friends, right? Friends don't need to apologize to each other for silly things like that. Yes, you are right, Naruto-san, thank you, acknowledges Yakumo with a smile. Kurenai wanted to discuss his latest genjutsu techniques with Naruto, but she was unable to have a private conversation with him prior to the Chunin exam. Naruto knows what Kurenai wants to discuss with him, but he wanted to keep her away from him to give her more time to think about it. In order to get to the test center, Naruto, Yugito, Gaara, and Ginkgo in her fox form departed the Namikaze Manor early. A sizable contingent of shinobi is waiting outside one of the rooms when they get there. As Yugito and her teammates struggle to get past the two Chunin guarding the door, Yugito suppresses a giggle and stands on the side. Naruto spots Kakashi's team moving through the crowd out of the corner of his eye. As Sasuke makes a scene about the illusion on the room number, Naruto sighs and rolls his eyes. Behind Naruto, a voice says, "He is either a show-off or an idiot," and I lean toward the former. "Underestimate him at your own peril, Tamari-chan," Naruto says without pause. He might be a jackass, but he was still one of the top students in the graduating class. "Looks like the show's over, let's head upstairs ahead of the crowd," Tenten announces. Team 9 and the temporary Team 11 head upstairs and into the real test center, nodding their heads in agreement. Naruto scans the room, paying particular attention to the Auto team and Kabuto's team. Gaara and Tamari discover Kankuro standing beside two girls who are observing Tsunehitaye in the meantime. Kankuro is clearly unhappy with his teammates based on the expression on his face. Tamari and Gaara approach the others based on their years with their respective teams, deciding to hold off on speaking to their brother until after they have left the testing facility. Team 7 and every other person who has been delayed downstairs by the illusion soon emerge from the door. Sasuke approaches Naruto after spotting him and growling softly, but before he can say anything, Ibiki and a sizable contingent of Chunin arrive. The fox looks at Ginkgo and gives a small nod in response to Naruto's silent query. Smirking, Naruto understands that Ibiki is still ordered by the Hokage to avoid any conflict between Naruto and Sasuke, despite the fact that he was not prepared to reveal himself to the entire group. Ibiki tells the Chunins to finish the written exam and orders everyone to their seats. Ibiki signals the start of the test after outlining the guidelines for scoring and cheating. Naruto closes his eyes and inhales deeply before glancing around the room. He observes that Ibiki's entire focus is on Naruto, challenging the young genin to take on the head of the torture and interrogation department, while the Chunin's attention is dispersed throughout the room. When Ibiki sees Naruto's gaze fix on him, his savage smile grows. He only heard Anko and other Anbu members praising the boy. He is curious to find out how Naruto will obtain the written exam answers. Naruto sighs, looks away from Ibiki, and stealthily starts counting the number of people present. The Chunin watchers have already eliminated several teams by the time he finishes. Nevertheless, he can see that there are a lot more teams taking this test than there were in his previous life. In his mind, Naruto complains, "Probably because of my father's reputation. Dang it. Yugito-chan has her summons. Gaara has his Daisan no Mi technique. And Ibiki isn't going to take his eyes off me. I have nothing to divert their attention." As Kankuro requests permission to use the restroom, Naruto lowers his head and closes his eyes once more. Ginkgo rests her head on Naruto's lap shortly after that. Naruto looks up once more and starts responding to the questions while using his left hand to scratch the fox behind the ears. Naruto steals a glance at Ibiki and smirks at the bewildered and slightly irritated expression on Ibiki's face. How is he able to answer the questions? Ibiki frowns. There was absolutely no chakra fluctuation, there was no sign of him cheating, and the fox did not read the answers from others. On the other side of the room, Gaara glances up at Naruto from his exam. Gaara smiles and looks at Yugito, who responds to her silent query by nodding her head. Ibiki's scowl widens as he hears the silent exchange. The two kids clearly understand how their teammate can pass the test, but he is still unable to figure out the trick. Ibiki slams his palm on the blackboard to get everyone's attention once more when the allotted 45 minutes have passed. Following an explanation of the requirements for responding to the 10th question, teams begin to withdraw from the competition. Naruto chooses to keep silent in order to allow the crowd to disperse, unlike the last time he was asked this question. Naruto shuts his eyes and waits for the room to calm down before opening them once more. As he quickly counts, Naruto muses, 30 teams left this time around. I guess that's to be expected with so many more teams taking the exam. With no answer, Ibiki asks, "Is there anyone else who wants to drop out of the exam? In that case, allow me to congratulate all of you for passing the first portion of the exam." As soon as Ibiki says those words, the room erupts in chaos. Ibiki is interrupted and everyone's attention is drawn to him as something bursts through the windows and lands in front of him before he can even attempt to explain the circumstances surrounding the last question. 30 squads left each. Not bad I guess, with the number of teams entering, but not exactly your best work Ibiki. There seems to be quite a few interesting prospects this year Anko. Really? Anko asks with her head cocked as she all of the genins present. Oh well, I'll cut the remaining squads down by at least half with the next portion. Tomorrow you'll be taking the second part of the exam in Training Ground 44. Your Junin instructors will know the location of the training ground. Show up at 9. Bring only the clothes on your back and your ninja gears. Everything else will be confiscated to be returned only after the second task. For now though, you are all dismissed. As soon as Anko finished speaking, everyone filed out of the test center. The majority of the girls choose to go to the shopping district to celebrate overcoming the first exam obstacle after Tamari and Gara informed their team that they would return later to spend the day with their brother. However, Anko puts her hand on Naruto's shoulder before he leaves, telling him to meet her at a nearby restaurant before she leaves the building herself. Bewildered, Naruto shrugs his shoulders and follows directions to the restaurant. Naruto understands Anko's motivation for bringing him here as soon as he enters the restaurant. Rin, Yugo, Shizune, and Kurenai are seated at a table in the restaurant's back corner, out of sight of everyone else. Anko appears behind him and shoves him in the direction of the table before he can turn around and walk away. You're not thinking of running away, are you, Naru-chan? Anko responds, come on. We have a lot to talk about. Anko practically drags Naruto toward the other adult kunoichi by putting her arm around his shoulder. They were so engrossed in their conversation that they didn't notice them until they were standing right next to the table. Oh, you two are finally here, Yugo responds. What are you two standing around for? Come on, sit down already. Rin asks, so how did the exam go? Anko takes a seat to Kurenai's left, and Naruto takes a seat to Kurenai's right, shifting his chair closer to Kurenai to make space for Ginkgo. 30 teams made it through to the next round. According to Anko, all 5 teams from around Naruto's age group made it through. So Tamari, Chan, Tenten, Chan, and Haku, Chan made it through? Shizune inquires. That's what I said, Anko responds, but the next stage is going to be the real test for them though. Perhaps we shouldn't talk about that with Naruto here. As the Junin blushes, Naruto reassures Kurenai. Chan, placing his arm around his waist. We're going to be at Training Ground 44. Any Konoha.nin who's heard of the Forest of Death pretty much already has an idea what the second portion of the test would be. That's right, Chan. Naru-chan trained in the Forest of Death before already, Anko responds. As for your squad, Shizune. Temporary squad, says Shizune, interrupting Anko. Anyway, they haven't worked together before. Tamari and Tenten probably works well together, but Haku is a complete unknown to them. Anko continues, they'll need some pretty good teamwork to get through the second stage. They'll be fine, Shizune assures them. Tamari, Chan, Tenten, Chan, and Haku. Chan are already very good friends with each other. Haku. Chan is very versatile, she can adapt to any team very quickly. Yugo smiles and says, well, now that we answered that question, how about we get to why we're actually here, while Kurenai's blush deepens. Oh yeah, that little incident, Anko says while smiling broadly. I was planning on asking Kushina-sama about helping you by giving you a few pointers on dating an older woman Naru-chan. Looks like I'm going to have to give Chan the pointers instead. I have never seen Kurenai so flustered as when she was talking about what you did, Yugo replies. It is a bit disconcerting to find out she's so inexperienced in this area, Rin continues. I'm sitting right here, Kurenai scowls. Well, unless you are hiding some information, what Naruto did in that illusion wasn't that bad, Shizune responds, wrapping his arms around your waist from behind, whispering in your ear, and breathing on your earlobe. It's not what he did, it's what he said and how he looked. Yugo responds, well, do tell Kurenai, he looked like Yandaime-sama, just a bit wilder, says Kurenai, definitely taller though, slight reddish-orange highlight in his bangs, a thin blood-red ponytail. Muscular enough to feel them but not too bulky. Before turning to face Naruto, Anko remarks, wow, Chan, you sure know how to pick them. But what's with the highlight and the ponytail? Apart from the ponytail, that's pretty much how I looked before I returned, but there's no need to tell them that, Naruto muses. Kind of a tribute to the Uzumaki blood in me, I guess, he says. I like my blonde hair, but damn Kyuubi's chakra for ruining it. Yugo holds a finger beneath her nose to stop the blood from dripping out. All right. So we've established that he was hot, she says. What could he have said that got you so flustered? Kurenai looks around and asks, Hanabi and Kyoko aren't here, are they? Concerned, Shizune asks, It was that bad? I can't feel the brat's presence, so go ahead Chan. I'm not going to go into details. It's just a brief description of what he intends to do with me in private when he grows up. Kurenai is blushing, but he was rubbing my outer thighs and whispering all those things when he was breathing right on my ear. So he was talking dirty to you Chan, Anko responds, to think you're so innocent that you can't even handle a little teasing. I'm so disappointed. Rin frowns and asks, but where did you learn how to talk like that though Naruto? It's not Kakashi was it? Or Jiraiya? Sama? Shizune inquires, because if it was him, Tsunade. Sama is going to have to teach him another lesson. If there's anything left of him if Kushina. Sama found out before that. No, I think I learned all that from Kiba, Naruto replies, trying not to smile because he knows that Hana is like a little sister to the Kunoichi, and he can't keep his mouth shut about how he's going to make women very happy with his talents. Sounds like the mutt is going to have to be re-educated, Yugao mutters. Sume.san would be more than happy to do the honors I'm sure. As Shizune says, yes, we need to have a word with Hana-chan after this, a gloomy aura descends upon her. Poor Kakashi.kun, having to deal with the mutt and the insufferable Uchiha Sasuke, says Rin. I still don't understand why Senpai took that team when he failed everyone else before them. Well, Kakashi is always harping on teamwork, so I guess they must have shown him something, Anko responds. Can't say that Dokugan Ryu always follows his own rule though. He has two eyes, you know, Rin explains. Well, one of them isn't his, Anko responds. How much you want to bet that's why he took that team? There were other Uchiha on the team's Senpai failed though. Well they must have been really pathetic then. Naruto, be nice. Yes Kurenai. Chan. Jokingly, you trained him well Chan, Anko says. Kurenai smiles and says, I think the credit goes to Kushina, Sama. Let's order our lunch, I'm getting hungry, says Rin. Yeah, and while we eat, you can tell me how you got the answers to the test, Anko responds. Ibiki is driving everyone crazy trying to figure it out. It's not that difficult really, Naruto replies. Ginkgo. Chan can understand what Akamaru is telling Kiba. All I have to do is wait for her to get all the answers from Akamaru. Shizune asks, so you can understand what the fox says? Naruto cryptically states, we have a way of communicating with each other, while Kurenai conceals a smile. Well, Inuzuka uses dogs, Aburame uses bugs, Yugito uses cats, and you use Ginkgo. Ibiki can't complain about that, Anko responds with a shrug, although I was hoping that there were some grander plans than that would drive Ibiki nuts. It's actually kind of anti-climatic. Jokingly, you can always make things up, Naruto says. Yeah, you're right, Anko replies, already generating a number of concepts that would drive Ibiki insane. Kankuro and his group were followed by Temari and Gaara until they returned to their hotel. Kankuro waits in the lobby for the two girls to give up and return to their room, but neither of them moves to do so even though they are obviously aware of Kankuru's plan. With his siblings and teammates following him, Kankuro finally gives up and heads for the cafe. Temari asks, so how have you been Kankuro, after they sit down at a table? About as well as shinobi like us can hope to be, Kankuro states, after getting through the academy, I got stuck with Matsuri and Sari here for teammates under Baki. Father must have high hopes for you to place you under Baki, Temari responds. And you too? I am Senju Tsunade. Shisho's apprentice. Gaara is on a team with Naruto.kun and Yugito. Never thought you'd become a medic. I am learning a lot more than just medical ninjutsu, Temari states. In case you don't remember, I asked you to send me a battle fan last year. And who would be able to teach you how to use that thing? Naruto.kun happens to be a wind type too. He is very creative when it comes to creating techniques. And how have you been Gaara? Gaara says, as well as one can hope to be as shinobi, in a monotone. I thought your seal was fixed already, so why are you still talking like that? The way I speak and the condition of my seal has nothing to do with one another. Come on Gaara, there's no need to be so cold toward your own brother, Temari responds. He should be used to my tone by now, but... Forget it Temari, he's right, Kankuro responds. His attitude actually improved quite a bit already. He's getting annoyed but he hasn't killed anyone yet. I could arrange for that to happen if that is what you want to see. Kankuro looks at Gaara in shock and asks, did you just make a joke? Wait, you were joking weren't you? In fact, Gaara grinned a little at Kankuro's remark. Temari gives Gaara a gentle shoulder pat while grinning and congratulating him on his increased sociability. Kankuro turns to his two silent teammates and mutters about dumb siblings. So, you two got anything to say? No, we are here simply because Baki Sensei told us not to let you out of our sight. And why would he give such an order, Matsuri-san? Asks Gaara. He's gotten into trouble in foreign villages before, says Sari. As Gaara frowns, Tamari asks, and what kind of trouble has he gotten in before exactly? Nothing major. Just disorderly conduct mostly, says Matsuri. We always manages to stop him before it gets really out of hand. Tamari glares at Konkaru and says, thanks for keeping him out of trouble. No matter how many times I reprimanded him in the past, my idiotic brother doesn't know how to behave himself. Yeah, well, he's our teammate. It'll make us all look bad if we don't stop him, Sari responds. We're used to it by now. Konkaru, Tamari, and I will just be reminiscing about the past. We will keep an eye on him to make sure he doesn't get into trouble. There is no reason for you to stay and be bored. Sorry, Gaara-san, but Matsuri and I are under strict order by Baki Sensei to not let him out of our sight unless absolutely necessary. Gaara frowns more deeply, but he decides not to say anything about it. With a nod of approval, the three siblings begin discussing their lives since Konkaru returned to Suna, ignoring the presence of the two girls. The staging area outside Training Ground 44 is where all 30 genin teams that advanced to the second round will be weighing the following day. Naruto just closes his eyes and meditates while he waits for Anko to arrive, ignoring everyone else in the vicinity, including Sasuke, who is constantly making crude remarks about Naruto's lack of real skills. When Anko and a small group of Chunins finally show up, Sasuke is about to lose it because he isn't getting the reaction he wants from the Namikaze. Alright, all of you listen up, Anko yells. In a few moments, the people behind me are going to hand out waiver forms to all of you. But first I'm going to explain this part of the Chunin exam. As soon as Anko uttered the word, explain, every genin, with the exception of Naruto, focused on her. Anko is irritated and shoots Naruto with the dango stick she is holding in her mouth. Anko tilts her head slightly to the side as the wooden stick sails into the forest, but Naruto just catches the dango stick and fires it back at her in one motion without even turning his body. Now that I have everyone's attention, the training ground behind me is called the Forest of Death. There is a tower in the middle of the forest and all you have to do is reach the tower with these two scrolls, Anko says, removing the scrolls from her trench coat. Once your entire team has signed the waivers, you can go to that booth over there and exchange the 3 forms for one of these 2 scrolls. Your job is to capture the other scroll in the set from another team while losing no one on your own team. Until you reach the tower, you are forbidden from opening the scrolls. If you do, well, you don't want to know what would happen if you do. You have 5 days to complete the exam. After obtaining his copy from the Chunins, one of the genin inquires, and why do we have to sign this waiver? There is a reason this place is called the Forest of Death, brat, Anko continues. If you're not brave enough to enter this place, I don't blame you. But if you are dumb enough to go in there when you're not prepared to face what in there, this form is what keeps the other villages from seeking damages for your stupidity. Another genin is saying, I bet it's one of those scare tactics just like the first test. With a sly smile, Anko asks, are you willing to put your life on the line on that? All 30 genin teams signed their waiver forms and moved to the designated entrance point around the training ground, disregarding Anko's words. Each team rushes into the forest in pursuit of their targets as soon as the gates open. Once they are inside, Yugito asks, how should we do this, Naruto-kun? Knowing the Uchiha, he's probably going to be coming after us, so let's turn the table on them. So turn the hunter into the hunted, says Gaara. I agree, this way we will always be prepared for a sudden strike. The bastard is the only Uchiha taking the exam this year, so this should make things much easier for me. Naruto muses to himself as they head toward the direction of Team 7's entrance point. Orochimaru wants to learn every jutsu in existence, and he needs the Sharingan for that, so that part of the equation shouldn't have changed. All I can hope for is that we can at least prevent him from giving the cursed seal to the bastard. Yugito breaks Naruto's reverie with the words, Naruto-kun, let's go on a date to celebrate after this. Where do you want to go? May I suggest the restaurant to the east of the hotel my brother is staying at? Gaara responds, Tamari and I came across it yesterday after leaving the hotel. Naruto picks up on the hint and responds, sure, might just as well see what the place has to offer. All 3 genins and the fox that is with them abruptly disappear from view. 3 aim.nin emerge in the clearing, bewildered, looking for any indication of their targets. Naruto's voice envelops the clearing as he asks, you guys aren't very good at tracking or figuring out hidden messages, are you? One of the aim.nin yells, come out and face us, you cowards. Yugito yells, Naruto-kun, he's so mean, he called us cowards, in a Naruto-like manner. That won't do, Naruto responds, don't worry Yugito-chan, I'll punish the big bad aim.nin. The three aim.nin are suddenly torn apart by a flurry of kunai. The three aim.nin merely morph and revert to their original form rather than dying. An increasing number of clones begin to appear around the original three. Naruto looks at Ginkgo while she is still in the foliage, and she nods. Gaara goes out into the clearing while Ginkgo works. As he raises his hand, a flood of sand floods into the clearing, engulfing and raising all of the clones in the field. He clenches his fist and simultaneously does the Sabaku Susu on each clone. Getting out of the sand, all the Oboro Bunshin does is combine. But the show gave Naruto, Yugito, and Ginkgo enough time to pursue the real aim.nin into the clearing so that Gaara's sand could catch him. As they are raised into the air, one of the aim.nin yells, "Wait! We'll give you our scroll, just don't kill us, it's in my weapons pouch." Gaara uses his sand to retrieve the weapon, pulling out enough sand to expose the weapons pouch. Gaara retrieves the scroll from the pouch and discovers it to be the one they require. After inserting the scroll into the sand gourd on his back, Gaara looks inside to see what else is inside and discovers 2 scrolls, roughly 24 shuriken, and 6 kunai. Gaara takes the weapons pouch from the 2 other aim.nin and slings it toward the training grounds entrance before throwing it to Naruto. "Looks like a couple of storage scrolls," Naruto remarks, looking at the 2 extra scrolls. "What do they have in those 2? He asks. "The same," Gaara concludes, examining the 2 pouches, plus a scroll with a coded message. Yugito exclaims, "A coded message? Let me try." "Have fun," Gaara says, throwing the scroll to Yugito. Abruptly, a powerful wind rips through the region. The scroll is powerful enough to take Yugito's breath away, but not powerful enough to knock them off their feet. The group looks at one another and rushes in the direction of the gust. The Daidopa no Jutsu and the Kamaitachi no Jutsu are the only methods they are aware of that can generate such a gust. The only genins in Konoha who are capable of using either technique are Naruto and Gaara, who possess Daidopa no Jutsu, and Temari, who possesses Kamaitachi no Jutsu. These techniques should be beyond the capabilities of a typical genin. A person must be in serious trouble or causing trouble in order to use a technique of this power. It's not something they could overlook, in any case. They can hear a loud rumbling noise below them as they jump from tree to tree. They notice a huge snake moving through the area as they look down. "Wow, Anko. Sensei is really pulling out all the stops if she's bringing these giant snakes to this test," Yugito replies. "That's just it. She wouldn't use that thing unless it's absolutely necessary," Naruto responds, "and there's only one person who can summon snakes like that beside Anko. Orochimaru. But what is he doing in this forest?" Yugito inquires. "I don't really want to know what he has planned in that twisted mind of his," Naruto responds. Ginkgo interrupts the conversation, saying, "Naruto. Sama, there is some muffled barking coming from the snake's stomach. How the hell does a tracker like Kiba get caught by that thing?" Naruto yells, "What an idiot." "Perhaps we should save the tongue lashing until after we got him out of the snake," says Gaara. The snake's stomach swells, and a miniature tornado bursts out of it and crashes into a nearby giant tree just as they are ready to turn around and save the Inuzuka. When the spinning eventually stops and Kiba emerges from the snake's carcass, Akamaru has already bored a 2-foot deep dent into the tree. "Good, now we don't have to worry about saving him," Naruto responds. "He'll find his way back somehow. Let's go and make sure he still has a team to go back to." A confused Kiba and a worried Akamaru are left behind as the group speeds off once more, nodding their heads in agreement. When they get there, they see Sakura and Sasuke battling against a figure perched atop a gigantic snake. Yugito, Ginkgo, and Gaara had to use every ounce of strength to prevent Naruto from rushing in blindly when he tried to move in. "Naruto-kun, our opponent is Orochimaru," Yugito responds. "We can't just charge in blindly and expect to win. We need to come up with a plan." Yugito is right. "We need to figure out what Orochimaru is after and plan accordingly," says Gaara. "Orochimaru is obsessed with learning every jutsu this world has ever known. He must be after the Sharingan eyes. An extraction and escape mission it is then," Gaara responds. "Can we count on you to focus on the mission, Naruto?" "Yeah, sorry about that. I'm ready," Naruto responds. "I'll create the diversion. Yugito, you go and retrieve Sakura. Gaara go and retrieve Sasuke. Ginkgo, cover their escape if needed." With a smile, Yugito says, "Got it, leader." Naruto's cage Bunshin quickly swarms the area. Yugito and Gaara enter the clearing among the clones, change into Naruto, and make their way straight to their targets. The enormous snake Orochimaru was standing on was easily overpowered by the clones, and as the former Konoha.nin is occupied with battling all the clones, Yugito and Gaara seize Sakura and Sasuke and drag them back toward Kiba's location from the clearing. Naruto stays on the tree branch and watches as Orochimaru ultimately vanquishes every last Kage Bunshin, despite the fact that his teammates have long since fled. Anko and a group of Enbu arrive at the scene as Orochimaru turns to depart. As Orochimaru launches another fight to save his life, Naruto ducks into the shadows and leans back against the trees. Orochimaru activates the cursed seal on Anko's neck, swiftly eliminating him. Orochimaru becomes the aggressor and flips the Anbu on its head by bringing out the Kusanagi. Naruto clenches his fists and observes Orochimaru carefully severing the Anbu that is with Anko. Naruto forms the Fuden Rasengan and leaps down from the tree after finally spotting an opening. Naruto chooses not to use the Rasen Shuriken because he lacks any kind of control over his Yuki or nature chakra, but the Fuden Rasengan still inflicts enough damage when it slams into the unwary Snake Sanin's back to make him flee the scene before he can eliminate the last of the Anbu. Anko. Sensei, are you alright? She'll be fine, Naruto. It usually takes her a couple of days to recover from the curse seal though, a member of the Anbu states. Yugo.ne. Chan. You're not supposed to say my real name when I'm in Anbu uniform, Naruto. Naruto looks at the people Orochimaru killed and says, sorry, I forgot, adding, and sorry I didn't attack earlier, but he didn't give me any openings. We understand, Naruto. We didn't exactly count on surviving our stint of duty when we joined Anbu. She's right, so don't blame yourself, kid, a different Anbu member states. Besides, if it wasn't for you, I'm not sure any of us would have survived against Orochimaru. It's a good thing you managed to catch him by surprise. When you report back, can you tell my father that Orochimaru was going after Uchiha Sasuke's Sharingan? Will do, says the Anbu. Neko, you take Anko-san to the hospital. The rest of us will report back to Hokage Sama. Yugo says, all right, as she assists Anko in standing up. Come on, Anko, let's have someone look at your seal. Thanks, Neko, Anko murmurs, and you too, Naruto, but you better go and rejoin your team. Right. As Sakura tends to her team's injuries, Naruto returns to his team to find Yugito pacing the little clearing. When Naruto leaps into the clearing, everyone assumes their battle stance. Ginkgo makes 4 parallel scratches on Naruto's face as Yugito clenches her fist and punches him on top of the head. Ow! What did you two do that for? We just had to deal with Orochimaru. What did you think we would do when someone just land in front of us like that? Yugito yells. Before Yugito and Ginkgo can administer additional punishment, Gaara asks, where were you, Naruto? After you guys left, Anko. Sensei and a bunch of Anbu showed up to fight Orochimaru. Naruto continues, they managed to chase him away for now, but there's no telling if he'll be back. So are those two all right? We arrived right after Orochimaru used the Kanashibari no Jutsu on them, says Yugito. They're a bit shaken up about it, but they never got to the point of a confrontation. As Naruto passes her, Sakura exclaims, Naruto, thank you for saving us. Don't worry about it. Naruto leans against a tree and observes Sakura return her focus to her 2 teammates. He noticed that Sasuke's neck was free of the curse seal when he passed him, indicating that Orochimaru hasn't yet reached him. It also implies that if Orochimaru stays in this forest for a long time, they will probably try again. Naruto looks at Gaara and gestures to his back in a subtle way. Gaara takes the 2 scrolls from his gourd and throws them to Naruto, catching his teammate in the act. Holding up the 2 scrolls, Naruto asks, so which one does your squad need? When Sasuke says, we don't need your help, I don't want to help you either, but it's obvious Orochimaru is going after your Sharingan, Naruto responds, that's if you've even managed to awaken it. He's going to try again if you stay out in the open. Just take the scroll and get your rear end to the tower. He can't attack you there. We need the Earth Scroll. Haruno, be quiet. Naruto glares at Sasuke and declares, you should be quiet, Uchiha. We'll go to the tower together, and you can enter using our Earth Scroll. Sasuke turns his head away, growling. Sakura takes a deep breath before using the simple medical supplies she brought to treat all of her 2 teammates' minor wounds and bruises. Team 9 moves into formation and positions itself to protect Team 7. The group as a whole leaves for the tower after they have all been bandaged. Naruto, who is leading the group from the front, abruptly signals them to stop when they are roughly halfway to the tower. Sasuke ignores him and continues, but a concentrated blast of air blows him back. Kiba abruptly falls to the ground to their right, clutching his ears. A wave of Senbon knocks Sakura to her knees to their left. While Yugito and Naruto assume their battle stance, Gaara sends the barrier, which is a wall of sand, to protect the 3 members of Team 7. A group of 3 people wearing auto Hitaye emerge from the tree shadows. One of the bandaged Auto.Nin says, "If the 3 of you go now, we'll act like we never saw you. Our target is the Uchiha's team." Naruto declares, "The 3 of you are the ones who ought to depart. Then it seems that we have to deal with both your squads. Zaku, Kin, let's go." "For Zaku, we'll do. Dozu." Gaara twists his wrist, and the wall in front of the 3 Team 7 members turns into a sand dome as the 3 Auto.Nin charge into the clearing. The 3 members of Team 9 advance on the 3 Auto.Nin, with Yugito pursuing Kin, Gaara pursuing Dozu, and Naruto pursuing Zaku, while Team 7 is shielded and prevented from witnessing the fight. Kin pulls a few senbons out of her weapons pouch and shoots them at Yugito. But rather than avoiding them as Kin had anticipated, Yugito just captures them all and shoots them back at Kin. Startled, Kin only avoids roughly 2/3 of them, with the remainder hitting her calves and arms. The weapons slow down the Auto Kunoichi enough to give Kin additional trouble against the former Nibi Jinchuriki, but not enough to knock her to her knees. Kin's opponent pushes her back all the way to the edge of the clearing, rendering her favorite weapon useless against Yugito. Yugito's agility allows her to easily get around her opponent and kick Kin in the jaw, sending her flying toward the other 2 Auto.Nin. Zaku uses his Zankuha technique to attack Naruto while Kin is engaged in combat with Yugito. At least Zaku is certain that he can prevent Naruto from getting any closer and transforming the fight into a taijutsu match, which is his weakest skill, even though he isn't hitting his target. Zaku is unaware that Naruto is gradually getting closer to his opponent with every body twist. With the intention of attacking from all 3 sides, Naruto creates 2 Cage Bunshin in mid-jump and launches them at Zaku from his sides when he is finally within 3 yards of his opponent. However, Zaku simply leaps back and puts his arms together rather than focusing on all 3 opponents. "Zankukyokuha," smirks Zaku, "do you really think you can catch me this way?" Zaku destroys both Cage Bunshin and forces Naruto farther back with a blast of wind that is far more powerful than the ones he previously used against him. Even a thin layer of the sand dome behind Naruto could be blown away by the wind. When Naruto sees the power his opponent possesses, he frowns. When his team battled Dozu's team in his previous life, he was rendered unconscious, and before Zaku could employ a potent move like this at the tower, Shino's bugs caused his arm to blow out. Naruto muses to himself, "This is by far my weakest element, but I guess I have no choice." While Zaku performs a series of hand seals, Naruto charges his opponent once more and waits for him to employ his technique. Zaku uses his Zankuha once more, laughing at his opponent's folly. Naruto responds with Kaden Habashiri, utilizing the wind from Zaku's attack to transform his own into a raging fireball that rages back toward the Auto.Nin. When Zaku finally realizes his error, he attempts to roll away, but the firestorm catches his left arm, resulting in moderate burns all over it. Painfully clutching his arm, Zaku is helpless against Naruto's onslaught of blows, which send him hurtling back toward Dozu. Dozu concentrates on Gaara, who is positioned between him and the dome that houses his target, while he watches his 2 teammates battle Yugito and Naruto. Dozu slowly moves from left to right and back, searching for an opening to attack, already aware that the sand can be as effective offensively as it has been defensively. But unlike his 2 teammates, Gaara does not assume a battle stance. Instead, he simply crosses his arms and turns to face Dozu, ensuring that he is always facing him regardless of Dozu's movements. Dozu must attack while avoiding sand spears that shoot up off the ground as he approaches after witnessing his 2 teammates being gradually pushed back by the 2 Konoha.Nin. Dozu raises his arm to try to punch through the thin layer of sand in front of Gaara, but the sand condenses around his arm, trapping him. Dozu focuses his chakra and attempts to use Kiyomisen to penetrate the sand, but the sand merely absorbs the weapon's sound wave. Dozu can hardly move his body to keep his teammates' unconscious bodies from colliding with him, grimacing at the futility of his favorite move against his opponent. Dozu raises his free arm to signal the 3 opponents to stop, observing that they are now giving him their full attention. Dozu declares, "Wait, we submit. Before his team can sustain any more damage, we will give you our scroll if you would let us leave in one piece." Dozu pulls an earth scroll out of his shirt and sets it on the floor. Naruto raises his hand, signaling Gaara and Yugito to retreat and Gaara to lower the sand dome so Dozu can gather his teammates. Gaara uses his sand to cut off Sasuke and Kiba as they attempt to stop Dozu from leaving, and then they dash into the forest in pursuit of the 3 Auto.Nin. Naruto responds, "You have your earth scroll, so let's just get to the tower where it'll be safe," as Sasuke and Kiba turn to face him angrily. Kiba mutters to himself as he picks up the earth scroll and throws it to Sakura, saying that nobody would anticipate the team's weakest member carrying the scroll. Sasuke kept his glare fixed on Naruto the entire time, in an attempt to use the memory of the fear that the snake Sannin caused to drive Sasuke to flee the forest. Naruto glares back and uses the same Kanashibari no jutsu that Orochimaru used on him to bring him to his knees. After Naruto releases the Kanashibari, Sasuke finally turns away and heads toward the tower. Without saying another word, he leaves for their destination, making everyone catch up to him. After determining what they must do with the scrolls, the two teams are led to the resting area to wait out the allotted 5 days. They enter the tower through separate doors. They're one of the 8 teams left in the exam when they reach the tower's central arena as the allotted time has passed. In addition to Kankuru's team, Dozu's team, and Kabuto's team, all 5 Konoha teams from their age group are present. Naruto looks up to see the proctors for the first 2 sections of the test lining the balcony above, along with the Junin of each squad. Minato soon emerges among the Junins, attracting the attention of all the Genins. "Well, first I'd like to congratulate every one of you on passing the second part of the exam," Minato responds. "I hope that you all had some time to think through what the message at the entrance of the tower is saying." Naruto's companions are paying close attention to everything the Hokage says. It's still uncommon to see one of the greatest heroes in the ninja world up close, even though not everyone is interested enough in the message at the entrance to want to know what the Hokage thinks it means. A Junin appears in front of Minato after the Hokage concludes his speech about what it means to be a Chunin. "Please allow me to explain the following portion of the exam, Hokage." "Sama," the Junin says. "Well, why don't you tell them about the purpose of the exam, Hayate?" When Naruto sees Hayate in perfect health, he smiles. Prior to being discovered murdered around the time of the invasion, Hayate was a sickly Junin in dire need of medical attention. Tsunade, however, has been able to heal Hayate of whatever illness he had because she was stationed in the village long before that. The tradition of the Chunin exam started near the end of the last Great War. Hayate starts, breaking Naruto out of his thoughts. It is, in a way, a mean to replace the senseless fighting between shinobi villages for dominance of the ninja world. In the controlled examination environment, each shinobi village can showcase their strongest prospects in a fair competition as a mean of displaying their strength while limiting losses. There are, of course, other means of promotion, and such rules are different for each village, but this competition is not only for the glory of oneself, but also the glory of your home village in front of all the dignitaries that will be present in the final stage of the examination. However, before we arrive at that stage, we would need to trim down the number of participants to allow only the best of the best to appear before the dignitaries. So we will have a preliminary tournament now, and anyone who does not feel like he or she is in good enough condition to compete may drop out now. With a raised hand, Kabuto says, "Well, in that case, I guess I will drop." Now. There's no need to make such a hasty decision," Minato says, interrupting everyone. "This is actually the first time in quite a while that we have such a large number of shinobi making in through the first 2 stages. I have been in discussion with other villages' leaders as well as other dignitaries about an expansion of the 3rd stage. None of the previous tournaments since the discussion had enough participants in the 3rd stage, so the point is moot. However, I believe this year's 3rd stage will be a lot more interesting with the changes implemented." From the arena floor, Hayate asks, "Changes, Hokage?" "Sama? I have never heard of any changes." "Like I said, Hayate, there were never a need for these changes before," Minato says with a grin. "I believe the other dignitaries will be pleased that the changes they agreed to all those years ago will finally come to fruition." After asking, "So what exactly do these changes entail?" Naruto asks, "Just what are you playing at, Dad?" The 3rd stage of the exam is a tournament to be held 1 month later. As Hayate says, with so many of you, normally we would hold a preliminary tournament to weed out the weaker participants. However, the 3rd stage of this exam will truly become an event. Minato says, "There are 8 teams remaining, so there are 24 of you. We will break all of you up into 8 groups randomly. After I explained all the changes, Anko will bring a box with 24 strips of paper, each containing a number between 1 through 8. Whatever number you draw is whatever group you will be placed in. The 8 groups will enter a round-robin tournament where top 2 genin will advance to the actual tournament. The 3 battles in the first round will be spread over 1 week. The first match of each group takes place exactly 1 month from today, the second match will be 3 days after the first match, and the third match will be 3 days after the second. The tournament phase will be done all in 1 day, 4 days after the third match, or exactly 10 days after the first match. This way, each genin hopeful will have at least 2 matches to showcase their talent and impress the judges from your village to earn your promotion. So we don't need to actually win to be promoted. Kankuru responds, "Like you said, There are other ways to be promoted, so I thought only the winner will be promoted and the others either have to wait until the next tournament or be promoted through the other means. Know the goal of this exam is to showcase your talents. As long as you display the qualities of a chunin in the eyes of the judges, you will earn your promotion. The winner may be the strongest amongst you, but if he fails to display these qualities that the judges seek, he or she still would not be promoted. Minato continues. Now, if there are no more questions, Anko, if you will. Anko takes the box at her feet, nods, and steps onto the arena floor. She waits until everyone has a number before calling into her headset to the control room to raise the platforms with the 8 pedestals, while holding the box out to each genin in attendance. Each genin approaches the pedestal bearing their group's number after reading the number on their strip of paper. Finally, Namikaze Naruto, Shikamaru Nara, and Tsuchi Kin are included in Group 1. Abumi Zaku, Yakushi Kabuto, and Sabaku Tamari are in Group 2. Inazuka Kiba, Sabaku Konkaru, and Senju Tenten are in Group 3. Haruno Sakura, Kinuta Dozu, and Ni Yugito are in Group 4. Akadu Yoroi, Aburame Shino, and Sabaku Gara are in Group 5. Tsurugi Masumi, Momochi Haku, and Hyuga Hinata are in Group 6. Sari, Yamanaka Ino, and Hyuga Neji make up Group 7. Matsuri, Akamichi Choji, and Uchiha Sasuke are in Group 8. Everyone has already begun assessing the strength of their opponent by looking around. Minato holds up his hand to signal everyone's attention while he waits for the situation to calm down. Well, now that you know your placement in this tournament, we will see you in 1 month for the start of the event, Minato continues. For now, you are all dismissed. Since they must go through the forest once more to get out, many of the other genins are upset when the group uses Shinshin no Jutsu to return to the Namikaze compound. Minato gestures slightly to a figure in the shadows, who has already been briefed about the event in the forest. When he sees the signal, the figure vanishes. After learning about the Orochimaru incident from his former Anbu subordinates, Kakashi approaches his team and offers to lead them out of the forest. Minato orders a group of chunin to locate and rescue any teams that are still lost in the forest, and then, relieved that this portion of his duty is finally over, he leaves the arena with the Shinshin no Jutsu. As Minato walks into the living room, Naruto asks, "So Yugito-chan, any luck with that coded message?" "I already figured it out 2 days after we got to the tower." Minato asks, "What coded message?" "We found a scroll with a coded message from a team of AIM.nin when we took their weapons pouches. According to Yugito, it was from someone named Rokusho Aoi to Orochimaru, asking for permission to join Otto in exchange for information on AIM's condition after the revolt and a weapon called Raijin no Ken." "Rokusho Aoi, he has some nerve offering the Raijin no Ken to Orochimaru to join him," Minato responds. "And what is this about a revolt in AIM? I didn't know there was a rebellion in AIM." "I don't have anything to do for a month. Do you want me to go and bring back the information and the sword?" Naruto inquires. "You're not planning on going without us, are you, Naruto-kun?" Yugito responds, "If you are going, then we're going with you. We are a team, Naruto. We won't let you go out and deal with a noob.nin on your own," says Gaara. "And there is the potential that Orochimaru will be targeting Aoi as well," says Minato. "I already sent Jiraiya to keep an eye on Kabuto and his team. Most of the Junins will be training with their teams. Who can I send that can protect you from Orochimaru? You do know that there is another member of the Sannin in the village beside Jiraiya and Orochimaru, right?" Someone says from the stairs behind Minato. "I'll go with the brats, Minato. If Orochimaru shows up, I wouldn't mind showing him exactly how I feel about him." Tsunade.ba. "Chan, it would be wonderful if you were willing to go," says Minato. "I'll send Ibiki with you to extract the information from Aoi since Anko is out of commission right now and I don't think she would be the best choice if Orochimaru is involved anyway." Naruto asks, "But what about Renmara? The kid'll be fine. I have him on a different diet to get some more nutrients in him," Tsunade states. "Rin and Shizune know what diet I have him on." Naruto says, "Are you sure? Raiga won't be too happy if Renmara doesn't get any better," while Tsunade gives him a stern look. "All right then." Tsunade says, "All right, so when should we head out?" "I'll send the message to Ibiki. Be prepared to leave tomorrow morning." When Minato returned to his office, Tsunade asked, "How did you come about knowing how to break a code?" "I get bored easily, so I just start taking random books from the study and reading them. Then I found this one book on introductory code breaking and I find that kind of fun, almost like a puzzle, so I just started reading more and more about them," Yugito shares. A genin understanding how to break advanced codes, you must be some kind of hidden genius. Actually, this code isn't all that advanced. It's more like an old perverted version of Konoha's code, Yugito states. I guess with Rokusho Aoi being a former Konoha.nin, he never bothered to create a new code, figuring that Orochimaru will be able to figure out the message with just the slight changes. Well, no one can claim that he is smart, said Tsunade. The Raijin no Ken belonged to the Nidaime Hokage, right? Yes. So what, brat? Tenten. Chan should be happy if I can get that sword back then, Naruto responds. Well, she'll be happy if I bring back the sword no matter what. I still don't get your point, brat. Well, the Raijin no Ken belonged to the Nidaime Hokage, Senju Tobarama. Which means that it's a Senju family heirloom. Which means that at some point in the future, the sword will belong to her if I bring it back, Naruto responds. With how Tenten Chan is with weapons, she'll probably be willing to thank you in a very special way if you bring that super rare sword back, Yugito says with a smirk. And you have best not try to take advantage of that if you don't want to put all the burden of continuing the Namikaze line onto Akemi. Yugito throws her arms around Naruto's shoulders from behind and yells, no, if you do that then I won't get to have fun with Naruto-kun. Then he better behave himself. But what if Tenten is the one who jumps Naruto-kun? Yugito inquires. I'll make sure she won't, at least if she wants the sword for the tournament she won't. Tenten enters with Tamari and says, are you all talking about me? I've been sneezing the past 5 minutes walking home from the door. Are you sure you didn't catch something in the forest, dear? Asks Tsunade. Tenten says, no, Shizune. Chan already checked before heading off to the hospital as she enters the living room. Can I trust you two to train properly while I'm out on a mission with these 3 brats? Tsunade responds, it'll probably last around a week or so. But don't they have to train for the tournament? Why are they going out on a mission? Minato trusts them to continue training while out on the mission. Tamari asks, can we go on this mission too? Sorry kids, Naruto's team already have experience in dealing with 4 ninjas but yours have not. Tenten grumbles, but how can we get experience if we can't go on these missions? Make Chunin and you will be assigned these kinds of missions on a team with senior Chunins. The pouting Tenten says, that's not fair, Tenten. Chan, don't be like this. I promise I'll bring back a gift from the mission for you, says Naruto. I guarantee that it's a gift you'll love. You promise? Of course, Tenten. Chan, to meet with the final member of the squad for the mission. Tsunade takes the 3 genin and the fox to the village gate early the following morning. Gaara is left to guard the team's backs, while Ginkgo uses her sense of smell to scout the areas ahead. Ibiki bows his head to greet the Slug Sannin and stealthily moves into position to the genin's right while Tsunade moves to their left so they can defend them in the event of an attack from the flanks. Tsunade.ba. Chan, Yugito says with a shiver, is the Raijin no Ken a lightning-based sword like its name suggests or does it look like a lightning bolt like the Hiraishin no Jutsu? Tsunade declares, it's a lightning-based sword. As far as I know it looks just like any other short sword. Disregarding Ibiki's stunned expression and the kid's moniker for the Slug Sannin, the Raijin no Ken can generate lightning like Raiga's swords. Oh, Yugito responds, do you think Tenten Chan can handle a sword like that? She'll manage. She's already training with Yugo on using close-range weapons. It's just that I don't know if she can make use of the lightning element. I can help Tenten Chan learn how to use lightning element if you want, Yugito replies. Let's focus on getting the Raijin no Ken back in one piece before trying to decide how to best use it, brat. Tsunade. Sama, if I may, Ibiki responds, are we to assume that Rokusho Aoi does not realize that we have detected his plan and will act according to the coded message? First rule of being a ninja, Ibiki, never assume anything, says Tsunade. Then how shall we plan our actions? Assume the enemy is waiting for us, Tsunade states. Even if Orochimaru is aware that we are aware of this meeting, he is aware that Konoha will send someone, and we are aware that Orochimaru is interested in a number of Konoha members. All right, so we assume ambush and reinforcements, says Naruto. From both Rokusho Aoi's side and Orochimaru's side, Ibiki responds. We are already dealing with at least 5 shinobi, Rokusho Aoi, his genin squad, and whoever Orochimaru is sending, Yugito states. Aoi is defecting so there shouldn't be too many people with him beyond his genin team, and Ato is a newfound village, so they won't be about to send too many people. Gaara adds, as we defeat everyone else, it is also crucial that we capture Rokusho Aoi alive and hold him captive. That adds to the mission's difficulty as well. Ibiki smirks and remarks, it seems like they are already thinking like Chunin Tsunade, Sama. They are taught by Minato and Kushina, and they grew up around all those Chunin and Junin Ibiki, Tsunade claims. Do you think they would act differently? Then all that remains is to see if they are capable of surviving difficult missions. This isn't some absurd test to get a promotion in the field, is it? Naruto inquires. According to Ibiki, Hokage, Sama knows that you are more than capable of making quick work of most of your opponents in the tournament, so he gave me instructions to watch how you behaved during this mission to determine whether you had the makings of a Chunin's traits. Your performance in this mission is only going to be used as additional evidence to prove your worthiness of being a Chunin. It's not going to decide whether or not you become a Chunin on its own, Tsunade states. The success of this mission still takes priority over your individual performances, so I want you to focus on that first and foremost. With a collective nod, the group departs for their destination. They traveled for 2 more days before reaching their destination. In order to gain a better understanding of the inner workings of the torture and interrogation department, the 3 genin began speaking with Ibiki while they were traveling. Anko had told them inflated tales about the department's activities, but they would much rather hear the department head's truthful version. If only to pique their interest in the field and set the stage for future department recruitment, Ibiki was more than happy to supply the information. Looking out from the cliff toward the sea, Naruto asks, "So which country are we in again?" "Umi no Kuni," Tsunade responds, "You should be able to tell just from this vast sea." Before he thinks, "I wonder if I'll get to meet her again this time," Naruto asks, "Actually this place kind of reminds me of Nami no Kuni." "Umi no Kuni. Wait, Umi no Kuni? Something the matter Naruto-kun?" "No, it's nothing. Don't worry about it," Naruto responds. "My mom said that there used to be plenty of ships coming into ports around Umi no Kuni from Uzu no Kuni and Mizu no Kuni." "Well, there was," Tsunade responds, "though Mizu no Kuni's ships don't really come by this part of the country anymore, especially with the civil war still going on in Kirigakure, and you already know about Uzu no Kuni. Our objective is to locate Rokusho Aoi, who is supposed to be awaiting Orochimaru's men near the dock, am I correct?" Ibiki responds. "Yes, but we should alter our appearance before entering the town. Aoi used to be a Konoha.nin after all," Tsunade responds, "and he is most certainly familiar with who you are, Ibiki." "Why is that?" inquires Yugito. "Aoi used to be the instructor of Morino Idate," Naruto explains. Yugito exclaims, "Morino Idate? Wait a minute, Morino? He was my younger brother," Yugito responds. "Oh, so. He's a fugitive from Konoha for stealing the Raijin no Ken," Ibiki declares. "But Rokusho Aoi is the one with the sword. Aoi tricked Idate into stealing the sword and a secret scroll," Naruto claims. "Ibiki got some of those scars on his head from chasing after Aoi. So this mission means a lot to you, doesn't it, Ibiki-san?" asks Yugito. "I must put my mission ahead of my emotions," Ibiki grumbles, "but after we captured Aoi and I have the opportunity to interrogate him for information, I might take a bit of liberty to the means of torture." Naruto retorts, "I'll see if we can take the long way back to Konoha through Cha no Kuni, and you can have all the fun you want with him as long as we get the information, Ibiki-san." As they reach the dock, they see a small boat with a large group of people gathered around it, assisting those who are completely soaked in getting to dry land. Bewildered, the reformed ninjas make their way to the dock in an attempt to learn more. As he assists another man in landing, Ibiki inquires, "So what happened?" "The Kaima attacked my ship," says the individual. "I should have known better than to set sail with the Kaima around, but I thought if I leave late at night." "The Kaima doesn't sleep, you know that. According to a crowd member, doesn't matter if it's morning or night, the Kaima will attack every ship that ventures into its territory." "The Kaima?" inquires Ibiki. "You folks aren't from around here, are you?" "We're from the west, from Kei's no Kuni," says Naruto. "We're traveling merchants hoping to get to Cha no Kuni to sell our glassware and buy tea leaves." "Well, you're out of luck. There are no boats going out as long as the Kaima's around." "Do you know if we can rent a boat, buy one even?" "I'm sure you can find some old fisherman and convince him to sell you his boat," a villager replies. "I wouldn't recommend heading out even if you can get your hands on a boat though. You're just wasting your money and even lives as long as the Kaima is out there. Your best option might be head a few towns over and see if you can catch a ship there away from the Kaima's active zone," a different individual suggests. "I see. Thank you for the advice," Tsunade responds. "We'll head to the hotel. You 3 go restock our supplies." As Tsunade and Ibiki make their way to the hotel, the 3 disguised youths nod their heads and turn to face the market. In order to learn as much as they can about the Kaima and their target, the 3 split off and go in separate directions. When they are happy with what they have, they get together at the hotel to talk about what they have learned thus far. When Tsunade asks, "So what did you guys hear about Aoi and this Kaima?" "We haven't heard anything about Aoi, but about the Kaima, there were people who just simply vanished in this town and never heard from again," Yugito continues, after that the Kaima started attacking the ships. Orochimaru approved of this location, so he must be familiar with this place, Tsunade states, and after what he did in Konoha, I wouldn't be surprised if he had something to do with all these disappearances. There was one person who came back after disappearing, says Naruto, met her when she was shopping for food. People here don't exactly treat her kindly. Gaara asks, how unkind exactly? Jinchuriki level unkind. Both Yugito and Gaara winced at that. Despite years of emotional training as part of her shinobi career, Tsunade winced at the words, knowing a little about their lives before coming to Konoha. Treating a civilian with that kind of malice, says Yugito, what kind of monster are they? Not saying that it's right, but people fear what they don't understand, says Naruto, not to mention that they hate the fact that their loved ones didn't come back like she did. So they pin all their anger and frustration on her? Tsunade puts her hand on Yugito's shoulder to reassure the girl and asks, Naruto, what do you intend to do? She's not very trusting of anyone, but I can try to approach her to see if the disappearances have any connection to Orochimaru, says Naruto. I already helped her once today, and I'm not even from this village. I should be able to gain her trust a bit easier. We can't let you do this by yourself, it's too risky, says Yugito. She's our only lead right now and this is the only way. I've sent Ibiki out to secure a boat from one of the fishermen, Tsunade states. We'll be staying in this town until he comes back with a ship and we can sail out. Take this time and see what you can do, Naruto. Naruto declares, understood Tsunade. Shan, while mockingly saluting Tsunade. Just get out of here, you little brat, before you make me angry enough to crush you like a bug. Tsunade throws a chair, and Naruto says, all right, I'm going. Ma, Shino and the other Aburame won't be too happy to hear you say that Tsunade. Shan, he says before ducking under it. Naruto walks around the village's beach while placing his hands on the back of his head. Although he can still recall the location of Isaribi's house, he is unable to simply drop by without warning without raising suspicions. Naruto wanders off the beach and onto the sea while still considering how to approach the girl with the green hair. His shinobi instincts take over, allowing him to stay afloat while his thoughts are diverted. A loud scream from the coast, just as a huge wave is crashing ashore, shakes Naruto out of his daze about 10 steps in, when it is still not clear that he is walking on top of the water's surface. The wall of water that sweeps him off his feet and swallows him up is entirely missed by Naruto when he looks back toward the shore. Naruto sees Isaribi swimming toward him in an attempt to save him as he tries to swim back toward the surface. Naruto cooperates by ceasing to struggle and letting Isaribi carry him ashore. In the hopes that Isaribi will take him back to her house like she did the last time, Naruto pretends to be unconscious by holding his breath and keeping his eyes closed after Isaribi successfully drags him to shore while soaked. Instead, he senses Isaribi pressing her hands against his chest. Naruto frantically tries to keep his disguise in the hopes that his plan will work, believing that she is trying to wake him up. When he feels Isaribi lifting her hands, he believes he may have succeeded. However, his eyes open when he feels Isaribi squeezing his lips, pinching his nose, and blowing into his mouth. Naruto jumps up in shock, slamming their teeth together and forcing Isaribi away from him. Isaribi, who is still holding her mouth in agony, approaches Naruto with caution as he coughs from holding his breath for so long. Isaribi asks, "Are you all right?" But her voice is muffled because she is still covering her mouth. Yeah, Naruto replies, having finally figured out Isaribi's statement, "Are you the one that saved me?" Yes, Isaribi replies, taking her hands off of Naruto after ensuring that no teeth were knocked loose. "Thanks. I thought I was a goner when that rouge wave swallowed me up," Naruto responds. "If I die by the hands of the Kaima, at least I can say that I went down fighting. It'd be embarrassing if I died while taking a stroll on the beach." "You are going to travel by boat from this town, despite knowing about the Kaima?" "Well, we don't have much of a choice. My master is on a tight schedule and has to get to Cha no Kuni by a specific date. We won't make it in time if we travel to another town before setting sail. Your lives are more important than some business deal. You know how those big merchants are," says Naruto. "Money is more important than their own lives. That's no reason to drag you down with them. Servants like us, we have no choice but to follow our master's orders." That's just not fair," Isaribi responds. "They have no rights to make us do what we don't want to do." "I hope we can do something about it," Naruto says, holding out his hand. "My name is Naruto, by the way." Isaribi covers her mouth to conceal her laughter as she asks, "Naruto? I know. My dad must have had a weird fetish of ramen or something." Isaribi. "My name is Isaribi." "Well, Isaribi, Chan, I really should go achoo. My house isn't too far away. Maybe you should come over and dry your clothes while I get you something warm to drink at least. I don't want to be a bother, don't worry. It'd be a shame for you to die from pneumonia after I went through the trouble of pulling you out of the water. Well, okay. Thanks Isaribi. Chan. Naruto returns to the motel that night, completely dry, to give an update on his progress. He enters Tsunade's room and discovers that she is waiting there with Ibiki, Yugito, and Gaara. Tsunade asks, so, what kept you out there all afternoon? I made contact with Isaribi. Spent the afternoon with her, according to Naruto. Doesn't look like Orochimaru or any of his goons are in contact with her though. So exactly how did you make contact with the target? Ibiki inquires. For the next 30 minutes, Naruto tells them everything that happened with Isaribi during the afternoon. But the whole group was only paying attention to the story's opening. If what you said is true, and the Rouge Wave was as large as you claim to be, the resulting rip tide would have been too strong for any civilian to swim through, Ibiki states. That young lady isn't exactly just a normal civilian, not with those skills. I think it's safe to assume that she has crossed path with either Orochimaru or someone associated with Orochimaru before in her lifetime, Tsunade explains. Naruto asks, so what should we do? Ibiki already secured a sailing boat for us, Tsunade states. We set sail tomorrow as planned to draw out this kaima and see if we can find any connection between the monster and Orochimaru. Maybe we can find some clues about Aoi if we can find Orochimaru's men in this town. In an attempt to attract the attention of the kaima or the monster's cronies, the group performs a show the following morning, putting various items and merchandise onto the boat for the whole town to witness. Around the port, people are either shaking their heads at another group risking their lives or trying desperately to persuade Tsunade to postpone setting sail. As they move the remaining alleged goods on board, Naruto says, Gaara, if we get attacked out there, I want your sand platforms ready. You are at a disadvantage fighting a battle in the ocean, but you can help us with aerial support, Naruto says. Understood. Despite some of the townspeople's last-ditch efforts, the group set sail after confirming that everything was where they were supposed to be. The group instantly drops their henge and gets ready for battle as soon as they are out of the port's view. A loud explosion rocks the ship 30 minutes into their voyage, sending all of the crates that line the boat's deck into the ocean. The group notices a man in a lab coat standing there with a merman of some kind as they look out toward the bow. The kaima next to him appears preoccupied with looking for something on the deck, despite the man's attention being on the group. As everyone else assumes their battle stance, Gaara is already hovering in midair on his sand platform. Tsunade and Ibiki charge forward, attempting to interact with the man wearing the lab coat. Tsunade attacks the man in the lab coat while another attacks Yugito, leaving Naruto and Ginkgo in her fox form to face the kaima. Suddenly, someone leaps out of the water and intercepts Ibiki. The kaima moves with unexpected speed, knocking Ginkgo aside before snatching Naruto by the collar and hoisting him into the air. The kaima exclaims, "Where is Naruto? Tell me, and I might spare your life." Before the kaima are driven back by the combination of Gaara's sand and Ginkgo's attacks, Naruto smiles and asks, "Have you never heard of the baby hero?" Before her eyes enlarge, the kaima murmurs, the baby hero Namikaze Naruto?" Hovering a few feet behind Naruto, Gaara asks, "Naruto, what kind of trouble are you involved in now?" Gaara, "Go help Ibiki." Ginkgo, "Go help Yugito." Naruto responds, "I can deal with this myself." "You lied to me. Everything was a lie. I would never lie to you, Isaribi. Chan," Naruto said as Isaribi flinched it, "I told you I would have to face the kaima. If I have my ways, we would have to go to Cha no Kuni. In the minds of those big merchants, money is more important than their lives, at least until they're staring death in the face. And as a genin, I really do have to follow the orders of my superiors." "You lied to me about who you are," Isaribi shouts. "I thought I finally found someone who understands some semblance of the pain I feel. You lied to me." Isaribi's desperate water attacks are easily avoided by Naruto thanks to the flexibility he acquired from training with Anko. Naruto approaches Isaribi from behind and puts his arms around her, pressing her back against him. In order to keep Isaribi from escaping, Naruto maintains his hold on her despite the pain her scales are causing him. "Listen to me, Isaribi. Do you think a creep like him would ever say anything truthful to you?" Naruto replies, tightening his grasp on the child. "I don't know what he said or did to make you follow his orders, but I know you're not this kind of person. If you really are a monster, you would never have pulled me out of that Rouge Wave." Finally escaping Naruto's hold, Isaribi yells, "Let go of me. I don't know if he will keep his promise or not, but he's the only one who knows how to make me human again." Naruto tries to move in to subdue Isaribi once more, saying, he's not the only one. The woman fighting him over there is Senju Tsunade, one of the Densetsu no Sanin and the best medical ninja in the world. I'm sure she can help you fix whatever that creep did to you. Isaribi is sufficiently shocked by the fact that a well-known shinobi, one that even a civilian like her has heard of, is engaged in combat for Naruto to be able to capture her once more. Isaribi drops to her knees and tears begin to fall down her cheeks. Isaribi returns to her human form and murmurs, "Why? What do you mean, Isaribi-chan? Why are you doing all this for me? I personally wouldn't mind seeing Ibiki.san and Enko.ne.san get their hands on that slime," Naruto says before turning to face the doctor. "I don't want to see anyone suffer, at least no one that doesn't deserve it." Isaribi follows Naruto's glare and turns to face the man wearing the lab coat. Isaribi hisses at the man before turning back to face Naruto, who is removing the scales from his arms. Isaribi subconsciously rubs her arms to cover up the scales on her human body while she stares at them. When Naruto notices what she is doing, he snatches Isaribi's arm and drags her away. Naruto.san, please let go. No, I won't let you look down on yourself anymore. Your arms, you got hurt because of me. Naruto shows Isaribi his immaculate arms and explains, I heal pretty quick, adding, plus, I guess I did deserve a little bit of that punishment. How could you? There were scratches and cuts. Like I said, I heal pretty quick. Isaribi attempts to divert her attention from Naruto's healing abilities before her mind shuts down by saying, Naruto.san, I will not fight against you anymore. Should you not go and assist your friends? They'll be fine. Those two grunts won't cause them any problems. Akadu Yoroi and Tsurugi Masumi's unconscious bodies are soon carried back to the ship by Yugito, Gaara, and Ibiki. The researcher, whose name they gather from Isaribi to be Amachi, had been driven back to the sea by Tsunade herself. When Amachi sees that Isaribi is employed by the Konoha.nin, he growls in rage and then sneers. Shay. I knew you would betray me one day. It was only a matter of whether you turn your back on me first or you outlive your usefulness and become another one of my dissect samples. Amachi continues, You see, foolish little girl, I had no intention of ever returning you to your human form. All you are good for is provide me with data and funding to complete my research, to create the perfect amphibious soldiers. With the exception of Naruto, Amachi's form gradually changes into that of the Kaima as he gathers his chakra. Water begins to rise behind him until it forms a huge blob and lets out a groaning scream. Observe, the results of my research, Amachi yells, the perform amphibious form and the great sea monster Umabozu. Yugito asks, any idea how we're going to deal with that thing? As the group anxiously looks up. Naruto thinks to himself, wow, I forgot all about that monster. I also can't call upon Gamabunta this time because I didn't sign the Toad contract. That thing is just a large mass of water held together by chakra, Tsunade explains. We have two choices, destroy the chakra itself or destroy the water to make the chakra disperse. It doesn't exactly has a stable chakra system that we can destroy, nor do we have any techniques remotely similar to the Hyuga in destroying chakra source. Naruto states, we have to destroy the water then. Suiden techniques most certainly won't work. Doden techniques can absorb, but can't destroy water. Fuden techniques can disperse, but not destroy water either, says Gaara. That leaves Kaden techniques to evaporate the water by heating and Raiden techniques to break down the water by electrolysis. We aren't exactly sufficient in Kaden techniques, Yugito asserts, but I'm pretty good at Raiden techniques. We'll need something to lead the electricity into the monster. Just blasting a body of water with lightning won't cause electrolysis, says Naruto. Without looking at Amachi or Umabozu, Ibiki asks, do you kids have a plan? If so, Tsunade Sama and I will let you handle that monster and capture Amachi. Yeah, go ahead, Naruto responds. We need him to figure out exactly what he did to Isaribi-chan after all. As Amachi is pursued by Tsunade and Ibiki, Yugito asks, Ginkgo-chan, keep an eye on Isaribi-chan, alright? Yugito, how long do you need to prepare for the strongest Raiden technique you know? Asks Gaara. My strongest Raiden technique is Raiden. Gion. Give me 1 minute. So how are we going to do this, Naruto? Gaara queries. We'll need something to lead the electricity into the core of that monster, says Naruto. Man, I wish Tenten-chan is here right now. No time for regrets, Naruto. Gaara responds. Yugito already started preparing for her technique. Naruto smirks and asks, what, can't I complain a little? Did you pack any ninja wire and Fuma shuriken? Gaara smirks back, I have just the thing, she says. I think the water is dense enough that the weapon won't just go right through, Naruto responds. I'm more worried about that thing pushing the Fuma shuriken back out after they punch through. I was thinking the same thing, Gaara responds, so distract that thing until the last possible moment? Distraction tactics is my specialty, Naruto declares. You're better at throwing weapons than I am. Create a bunshin and throw my Fuma shuriken while I buy you guys some time. Understood. Naruto gives the order for his clones to swarm against Umabozu using Taiju Cage Bunshin no Jutsu. Amachi is confronted by Tsunade and Ibiki back toward the back of the ship. Despite his extensive toolkit of Suiden techniques acquired through his transformation, he was defeated by the heads of Konoha's medical and torture departments and was taken prisoner after a short while. It was only because of what happened on the other side of the ship that the fight even lasted that long, as at least 200 Naruto charge up Umabozu's body and punch any exposed area from the mass of Cage Bunshin. Isaribi, Tsunade, Ibiki, and Amachi all look on in wonder. Bunshin, one of the cage, sneaks in with a kunai and tries to cut the creature, but the blade just goes through. The Cage Bunshin frowns and dispels the memory to return it to the original. We have a problem, Naruto says, turning to face Gaara, who is standing beside him. What's the matter, Naruto? The water isn't as dense as I thought it would be. But the clones are walking right on its body like they are walking on dry land. Water walking. The clones are treating the body of that monster just like any other body of water. As Umabozu picks up a number of Cage Bunshin and swallows them, causing them to dispel, Gaara asks, so what should we do? I have an idea, Naruto responds. Do you have the ninja wires tied onto the Fuma shuriken? Yes. Give them to me. Gaara slowly nods his head and hands over the two weapons, looking at his friend bewildered. Naruto uses the Fuma shuriken to create two more Cage Bunshin and sends them in the direction of Umabozu. The two new Bunshin dash up toward the monster's mouth as they wade through the throng of the first batch of Cage Bunshin. The monster swallows them whole, causing them to dispel, leaving the two Fuma shuriken behind in the ninja wire that leads back to Naruto and Gaara's position. The two dive away in response to Yugito's cries, Naruto.kun, Gaara, out of the way, Raiden, Gion. The current follows the metal lines into the monster's body through its mouth, focusing her attack on the ninja wires. The electric current, which is fueled by the dissolved salt in the seawater that makes up the monster's body, wreaks havoc on Umabozu and causes a bright light to flash where the two Fuma shuriken are bound inside the monster's body. The Umabozu begin to moan in agony as bubbles soon begin to form around the two Fuma shuriken. The gases eventually accumulate in Umabozu's body to the point where they begin to rupture the chakra that holds the water together. Umabozu's whole body vanishes in a matter of minutes, leaving behind only two demolished Fuma shuriken. Naruto asks, Yugito, Chan, are you alright? As Yugito passes out from chakra fatigue. Yeah. I've never had to hold that technique for so long, I'm just a bit tired. Tsunade rejoins the group and remarks, good job kids, while Ibiki pulls a limp Amachi along in her wake. Naruto says, now you better start talking, as Ibiki flings Amachi against the quarterdeck wall. Orochimaru was supposed to meet someone here. Where are they? He asks. So that's why he left so quickly. He fled the scene and expects me to hold you guys back for him. Amachi continues, like hell I'll help him after he abandoned my research. He went to Cha no Kuni. Cha no Kuni EH. Guess we'll be going there after all. Tsunade responds. Now where is you lab? I'm not leaving this place until I make sure none of your despicable research is left behind. When Isaribi says, I can take you there, Tsunade points to Amachi, Yoroi, and Masumi, who are unconscious, and says, even better. Alright, Ibiki, take these three to the cells downstairs. You and Gaara guard the ship. The rest of us will head to the laboratory. Send a message to Minato and have him send someone here to pick up the prisoners too. After saying, here, Naruto hands Ibiki 3 pieces of paper. Ibiki takes them from Naruto and asks, what are they? Chakra suppression seals. Slap them on and those 3 goons won't be able to access any chakra, says Naruto, although they don't actually suppress them, just disturb their chakra control so badly that they won't be able to mold chakra. After all, any living being needs chakra to survive and we don't want them dead. Where did you get your hands on something like that? Asks Tsunade. My dad gave them to me before we headed out, says Naruto. He told me that these will make it easier for us to capture and hold someone like Aoi. I still have 9 of them left after using up those 3. That Minato thought of everything, didn't he? I didn't even know he created these kinds of seals. Tsunade responds, anyway, we should head to that hidden laboratory now. The Konoha shinobi follows Isaribi and reaches Amachi's secret laboratory. The group returns to the ship to await Konoha's reinforcements after destroying all the remaining specimens and sealing away all of Amachi's research documents.
That's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this great story. See you in the next one.